1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but inside is so delightful. Oh, oh, oh.
Yo, I want to say Merry Christmas to the Shortbox crew, and figured what better way to express myself than through the ones and twos. They work so hard the whole year through, an episode they don't miss. So here's a glance at the crew's Christmas list.
That sound, little nat sound pop there.
I like that little
It
ASMR.
brings, it brings people into the experience, like they're actually here amongst four schlubs.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. All of a sudden, I have heartburn.
Must be on that herbal.
Am I stressed out about this or what?
I'm not stressed out about it. There's just
I'm not stressed.
I'm not stressed. You said I'm stressed.
Badr was practically crying when he walked over here.
I'm mildly.
Where are you getting this? You are reading like
Look,
wrong
he's
as
fucking
hell.
with you, man.
I don't know that he is. I think Badr did look a little sad. Can we talk about how Badr's got the TEDx pin just on the table? I like that. Man.
Stunting, baby. Come
I like
on.
that. I like
All
that
right,
a
we
lot.
got you got to
we get
acknowledge.
trophies, you know.
Big up that real talk.
Said we get trophies.
I think Lars
That pen's
is
gonna be stolen by like in a week or two.
Lars is the
By
one
me.
Fucking bastards.
It's gonna be. You're gonna see it at my house. You're like, yo, they gave you one too? Yeah.
different one.
Yeah.
Give me
Warren,
give me a different one.
Thank you for highlighting that, Warren. That means a lot to me.
Hey, man,
You're
no,
always
it's looking good,
biggest
man.
champion.
Yeah.
Shortbox Nation. I want to go on to say that song that you just heard was our first ever Shortbox jingle, produced
Wow.
by Corey Tordeson and Matt Vigo.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was in Spain when you sent it to me.
Yeah. Real quick, Warren and Lars will play. I'll play it for you guys when we go on break. The full version.
Can't wait to hear it.
So
It's good.
What you just heard right now is just like just a little teaser, but the full version will play at break time. Once again, that was made by our very own, our good friends, supporters of the show, Corey Tordeson and Matt Vigo.
Yeah.
It came out.
I can't say enough, dude. I really can't say enough of how amazing it was. So when you sent it to me on the other side of the pond, it was late. It was like 1:00 in the morning. My wife is sleeping, and it was like, "Yo, here's the song that Corey and Matt made." And I was like, okay.
I said it like that too.
Well, that's how I heard. That's how I hear your voice in text sometimes. So you'll be like,
Yo, what up, Playboy? Let me get them shoes.
I'm like a nerdy keep sweat. I'm like a nerdy keep sweat via text.
I see you as genuine. But anyway,
Thank you. I'll take that.
So I listened to it and I was like, I'm waiting. I know that Corey and Matt are in it to at least at one point of the song give me a little bit of a bump, like a little bit of a poke. Yeah, we'll dig at you a little bit, which is fine. I've come to expect it.
Oh, you definitely should expect that.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but it's done lovingly, and Corey and I have so many.
Are you sure about that?
You'll see. Okay. Corey and I have so many texts where it's like he's like, do I need to tell Badr or call him or ask him like, can you let Cesar like just have a show with me for like? And I was like, yo, man, first off, I'm my own man. All right, I don't got to ask Badr for nothing. But Badr, when you get a chance, is it possible? Just a side little thingy that maybe just we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
I do want to go and welcome the Shortbox Nation to episode 271.
Wow.
Yeah, baby.
271.
Yeah, we're getting up there, man. I am your host, Badr Milligan. I got my right hand man, Cesar Cordero.
Do it.
We got Lars Lundquist here with us.
What's up, guys?
AKA the monster in your closet.
True. Very true.
And also special guest today, Warren is here with us.
Oh, thank you guys.
The Bart of Darkness, man.
Thank you. The gruesome twosome back in the building.
Yeah, I was about to say, two guys with metal ass fucking names. Like he was like, you introduced them like they were like 80s wrestlers. Like it was like, let me tell you something. SummerSlam, yeah. I'm gonna fight the Bart of Darkness, yeah. Dig it with the monster in my closet, in my corner, yeah. And the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Dig it.
That's what actually I meant to say. Warren, a.k.a. your Simpsons favorite Simpson.
Hey,
something like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it.
And if this is your first time tuning in, man, welcome to Of course, the Shortbox Podcast, Jacksonville, Florida's premier comic book and pop culture podcast. We are here to talk about Rise of the Skywalker. But before we jump into that, I got some house cleaning items I want to get through real quick. Shout outs to everyone that came out to our TEDx FSCJ event
Absolutely.
about 2 weeks ago. The audio is available in podcast form if you missed that going to that in person. That was actually our last episode, but I do want to go ahead and shout out everyone that came out, supported, sat in the audience, chilled, kicked it with us, and got to hear us talk nerdy with some fellow good friends. So shout outs to TEDx, FSCJ, shout outs to Mosh, shout outs to the panel guests and all that. Woo! I want to also mention to our Shortbox patrons listening, Patreon gifts, our fourth quarter Patreon gifts are being shipped out this week. They're available to all new patrons that sign up by December 22nd. This quarter, Ashley Lanny Ahoy, a.k.a. our Pog aficionado, developed a set of
beautifully designed, handcrafted pogs that
They're very nice.
Once you see them, I think you'll appreciate.
And if you're a pet lover, then this is right up your alley.
Yeah, absolutely. Animal lovers, houseplant lovers, you got it all covered there.
So on top of Patreon gifts that we give out every quarter, you also get exclusive content, bonus episodes, and all of that. When you sign up
We really do
on our
try to be
Patreon.
creative as far as the gifts are concerned, and with the content as well. And this will show, especially today with the topic at hand. Yes.
Yeah, yes. So I got my shout outs out the way. Like I said, this is our Rise of the Skywalker talk. That'll be the first half of the show. And of course, on the second half, we got some emails to read and, of course, our champion season.
Yeah.
But, of course, we got to go and get the spoiler warnings out the way. So if you have not watched the movie,
Don't listen to this, for God's sake.
You've had a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with
Look,
you?
stay away from Reddit. Stay away from the show.
look, I've managed to just stay away from, social media, even now, even after watching the movie, only because I'm not ready for the influx of unsolicited Star Wars reviews.
Also true.
And
Yeah.
the political commentary that I'm sure is flooding my timeline now. But yeah, man, we're about to get into our review. It's going to be spoiler heavy, so if you're not watching the movie, please do not go any further. Do not collect $200. Do not go. All that good stuff. I've definitely fucked that up.
If you haven't seen the movie, turn the shit off.
Yeah.
Don't fucking listen anymore unless you want it to be ruined for you.
or just look
Or if you don't care, listen.
Or look at the show notes and just find the timestamp for the second half and go there if you really want to continue on. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump to our Star Wars review. I feel confident because we got some Star Wars aficionados. It's not a Star Wars episode unless we got Lars here.
That's so true.
And Lars,
true.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting some fellow sad boy energy from you, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, man.
Why are we starting off that way, man?
No, he
Look,
looks sad,
I
though. He
can't-
kind of does.
Thank you.
He projected it onto Badr, but...
Yo, right? Thank you, Warren.
Look,
Yo.
I've been thinking about this a whole lot, and
Preach.
I just. Are we starting? Are we getting into it now, man? Because
We might as well.
all right, you actually had an outline.
I did like I normally do, but yes, I do. Well, I wanted to ask. I think we all ended up watching it around the same time last night, right?
We all saw it yesterday.
We
Yes.
went at like 9:45, but we went to Dolby.
Damn.
So we just had to dunk on y'all just a little
No,
bit.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we figured, the people.
Posterize me. I'm posterized right now. Oh shit!
Here's the real thing: is we figured, we're rich, so people are more likely to not talk in a movie like that because we're around a finer taste of people who are
means
willing
white
to spend
people.
that extra buck.
Yeah, right.
To see a movie, not with a bunch of kids. So
No, I got
we
you.
just had to step it up to the first class.
Sounds real racist.
Sure does.
Hey, look,
And that's
I didn't
perfect
say it.
on this show.
Not how I intended
This
that.
is exactly how we would start off things in the short box.
To Warren's point, me and C and a group of us all went to go watch it together. We did not catch it in Dolby, and we didn't get anyone yelling or screaming. Everyone was actually really silent. If I'm being honest, we might have been the loudest motherfuckers
because
there.
it was a funeral dirge.
Damn. See, we're getting into it.
You know what? That's not fair. I've gotten so used to also people. Oh God. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
I think the only thing I gotta say, we should have spent the little bit of money because our theater, for some reason, the rafters or the speakers or something up top was loose. So every time there was a scene of heavy bass, you could hear it squeaking. It's like,
I can't speak for Lars, but I was very comfortable. I don't know. I was really enjoying my experience.
I heard about a kid's bowel movements next to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't have I didn't have that experience.
Wait, was that the bowel movement or the movie?
Oh my, come on.
This kid left, like probably 12 or 13, which I thought this whole situation is pretty awkward. Left, was probably gone for like 30 minutes. His grandpa or something was sitting next to me, and the kid came back, and the grandpa was like, "What happened? Where were you?" He goes, "I had to go to the bathroom. I told you." And he's like, "But you were gone for so long." Like they were talking at normal levels.
Oh, God,
and the kid's like, "Well, I had to take a dump." and
I missed all of that.
And then the kid proceeds to lay his head in his grandfather's lap and watch the rest of the fucking movie.
How old was the kid?
He was probably 12, at least 12.
And he was sitting right next to you?
He was like one seat away, but yeah.
You're too nice, man.
This is what y'all paid for?
You're too nice.
I mean, maybe I guess maybe the sound was directed right at me. I didn't really catch a lot of that.
Got it. Okay. Well,
What was the last movie we watched together? Because we all saw a movie recently.
Joker.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you remember when someone was talking and I told him to shut the fuck up? Didn't work, but I still did it.
Yeah, I've been known to throw a few of those out.
Yeah.
So my first question to you guys: expectations. Do you guys have any going into the movie? Were you guys expecting anything particular? Warren, how about you kick us off, man?
I think I think expectations is sort of an understatement because this is something that anyone who likes Star Wars on any level, whether it be casual, in a deep way, whatever, I think it's pretty much all anyone has thought about since the last film, and especially since we saw the first trailer. This is the first time that I've actually tried to avoid a lot of that. Like I normally sort of engage in the theories and the different things. I watch every trailer, and I decided to go about it a different way this time because of how much that affected me going into the last movie. And I wanted to go about it a different way. So my expectations were in a way higher because I didn't really have a basis point for them because I just sort of knew the basics, the basic outline of the first trailer. So yeah, I think the expectations were high for most people.
Fair. C, what about you? Do you have any expectations going in?
I mean, of course, right? I mean, all these movies are hinged upon our expectations. I mean, they're serials, or they're at least loosely based off of or inspired by serials, right? And every serial had a cliffhanger. And it's built into the storytelling mechanics that you're supposed to have like oh man, what's going to happen next, right? At least that expectation of okay, there's excitement to be brewed within the story, right? So, and I think we had already talked about my expectations for this, right? I'll use the analogy that I came up with, and I'm also going to incorporate Blythe's brother Brian's analogy because I think it works very well into it. Where I think all of us here are pretty smart guys. We're all pretty intelligent, and I think in school.
Speak for yourself, man. Who are you talking about?
I think Lars and Warren are pretty smart guys,
very good looking,
handsome, dapper men who in school were involved in group projects of some kind, right? And it's not like, like the nerdy, like there's always like the nerdy kid, right? That has to do all the work. That's not always true. Sometimes it's the person that is best for that particular project that ends up getting like, oh shit. Like if I don't intervene directly, we're all going to fail. And all these other motherfuckers are dumb and they don't see it. And any amount of me explaining it to them, they're not going to understand.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So it's like, the smart kid or the best kid for the group project is going to go in there like freaking windmilling at the very beginning of the project. That's what The Force Awakens was. J.J. Abrams came in and people going, oh, it's a fucking reboot of A New Hope. Yeah, no shit. It is a soft reboot, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought thematically it stuck to Star Wars. It stuck to what makes Star Wars good. Characters, humanity, right? They had a little bit of maybe Rey and Finn might get together. That's kind of neat. Oh, that's okay. There were a lot of seeds being planted, and JJ was like that smart nerd or good kid for the job. He had the most experience. He had worked on TV. He did Regarding Henry. He fucking knew how to make and write human stories, and then was like, just like in any group project in high school or middle school or even elementary school, that kid will get burned out and be like, fuck, why am I doing all the work? Fuck this shit. He pulls back. As soon as he pulls back, now I'm going to incorporate Brian's analogy where it was like, if any of you had to ever babysit an egg, like it's like, all right, this is the egg for school. It's going to be at so-and-so's house for one part of the project. It'll be at other so-and-so's house another part of the project. You write down when you fed the egg. You write down when you kept it warm, blah, blah, blah. They gave the egg to Ryan Johnson, and homeboy smushed it.
He didn't.
Let me finish. He sat on the egg, and he was like, and it was like, what the fuck just happened? There shouldn't be so much polarity involving Star Wars. Like, it shouldn't be polarizing. Everybody should go and have a fucking awesome time, and it's like an easy curveball to throw. It really is. And then J.J. Abrams came back and was like, holy shit, there is a dollar value attached to this franchise. I got to fucking course correct. But I only have one movie to do it. What do I do? So instead of fucking concentrating on the good shit that made The Force Awakens awesome, where it was like, this could really kind of go anywhere, and it doesn't really have to be about the Skywalkers. It could be about Rey. She could be the next fucking King Arthur, only now it's told from a female perspective. Boom, it's awesome, right? They did her dirty in Last Jedi, and now J.J. Abrams is like, 50% of this movie was him trying to course correct this group project when he should have just basically not handled the entire thing, but somebody with some credentials on how to do and tell human stories should have had their hand on it, because the whole movie could have been just concentrate on story instead of having to because there's a goddamn dollar attached to this. Now we can't be risky. Now we have to rely on what is safe. We'll fucking bring the Emperor back. We'll fucking rely on trilogy tropes from the original 70s movies because they were fucking great. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And when you turn the project in, you don't get a bad project. You don't. I don't think it's a bad trilogy. I just think it's average. I just think it's average. So I went in with that expectation, and I wasn't wrong.
Okay.
Like, I was like, okay, well, 50% of this movie is exposition, retcon.
Yeah,
Fix all the mistakes that had no humanity in Last Jedi. Now I know what you're saying. What I didn't like about Last Jedi was that it was like everything was there. The setup was perfect and failed. They didn't stick the landing with any of the character growth. And you can tell because they fixed everything that was wrong in this movie.
Fixed. Wait, I'm doing air quotes.
Right, correct. No, you're right. You're 100% right. Fixed is 100% right in air quotes, right? Leia should have died in Last Jedi, period. No, don't fucking do that Mary Poppins bullshit, because then how does Poe grow, right? If he was being groomed to be a leader, that's less time you have to spend in this movie doing that shit. You can concentrate more on some other way, right? But you could tell everything that was fucked up in Last Jedi, J.J. Abrams was like, all right, fix that. Freaking Roasty Code, have a back seat because you didn't let Finn grow as a person. They set that up, a fucking stormtrooper. Like, holy shit, what kind of a stormtrooper decides I don't want to be a fucking Nazi anymore? Like, or maybe he didn't have a choice, whatever. I'm just saying, like, they fixed a lot of shit. And like Warren said, fixed in air quotes.
Right.
Fair enough. Wait, before we go any further, I want to get Lars real quick. Your expectations, buddy. Do you have any going in?
I just had to listen to that for fucking 20 minutes.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Try to fucking decompress from even just what Cesar said. Expectations. I go into a lot of these things trying to be as open-minded as possible. This one, I saw the first trailer that was shown at Celebration, and I didn't watch anything else. I avoided any kind of TV spots, any kind of like Facebook ads.
So you had no idea that the Emperor was coming back?
Well, no.
Okay.
I did. When was that revealed?
I think
that
was
at
the end of the
Celebration,
first
because
trailer.
Ian McDermott came out at Celebration.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he came out at Celebration because at the end of the first trailer, you hear him laugh.
Yeah.
And Ian McDermott came out and did a little thing and then left. So I knew that he was part of it. I do not. So I just want to respond to so much of Cesar's bullshit right now.
That's fine. I have
Me too. I'm dying,
That's
but
fine.
go ahead.
I got evidence.
Okay.
It's cool.
I just don't think a lot of the points that Cesar made are exactly fair. I understand where they're coming from. I think that that the Emperor being revealed and being coming out was not a point of cleanup crew. I think he was the point A to point B for the whole fucking time.
Told you, Badr.
Told him what?
Everybody was going to say that the Emperor was the mastermind.
Why not? He was through the prequels. He was through,
Lars and I talked about this after Force Awakens. I want to point that out.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's I don't know. A little bit of I don't think that it's a plot point cop out. I think that it was planned. I think that maybe JJ and Kathleen and a lot of the writers group had this point where they wanted to get, and what possibly I feel like, okay, the original trilogy, supposedly George did not know. Man, we are getting so off topic.
No, it matters though. It 100% matters what you're saying.
But a lot of the plot points were either secretive to George, or most likely he was making them up at the time.
100%.
Because he had his fucking the siblings kiss and all this shit that's really fucking awkward, and then to make them brother and sister later.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that from a standpoint of the mouse controlling this big corporation, that they had to have had this whatever 6-7 year or 9 year plan, or what the fuck is it? Anyway, this plan for the new trilogy, they had to have had point A to point B. Rey is this, Kylo is this, in the end there would be this, and the Emperor will be pulling the strings the whole fucking time. I do not think that I think Rian Johnson was given points to make. He made them in his own way. It's very. I understand that you could be critical of what he did with what he had, but he was sort of pushed into a corner. Finn in a coma. Like there's so many plot points, and it's like, here you go, figure it out. But we need you to be at this point at the end of this movie. What was I talking about?
Your expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations.
But it's fine because I wanted to shift to, if you guys could provide just a brief summary of your feelings. But if I don't mind if we go a little deeper.
Well, so my expectations, I didn't have a lot. I hope that there would be fan service, which this movie is completely full of. 130 fucking %.
Any sequel is fan service.
But
this one,
that's the whole point.
Super fan.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. There's Star Wars in a lot of ways, including the original trilogies. There's more questions usually than answers in almost all of them. Even any of the animated stuff. But I feel like this answered so much. Like it gave you a period at the end of the sentence for a lot of characters, even though they might not be what you hoped or wanted for. You got an explanation for a lot of stuff. But fan service, I expected in a positive and a negative way. Positive being things that personally I wanted to see, but negative being the mentality of the internet troll that they want to appease, like you said, the people that are spending this money that were disappointed by The Last Jedi. So I saw that there's going to be this gripping force tearing at all ends.
No pun intended.
And that's what I imagined, is that there's going to be fans scattered all between,
I think Disney. I don't know. I feel like they don't really care about those people because they know they already have those people's money. Even though as much as they hate
Solo, they have to.
As much as they hate, I mean, right. So wait, whoa, hold on.
Solo bricked.
After Solo,
it bricked at the box office.
Yeah, it did very badly at the box office, even though it's a pretty high fan film. It canceled the Boba movie. Yep. It canceled a couple other things, and they had to take a step back.
Yeah.
Mando is the first hit that they've had since Force Awakens, really.
So okay, so Badr, I'm trying real hard to be respectful of your outline. I don't want to.
I'm not trying to
because this is
too
no. This is good. Like I like talking about this shit and these are all. Badr's kind of like, hey guys, I just fucking watched Star Wars like 2 years ago for the first time, so we're all good, baby.
Lars knows how I feel. I mean, listening, this is an area where I would defer to Lars over anyone I know. So
no, wait.
I'm literally watching him like a child.
Now hold on a second. Everything I just said is pretty much all I really had a problem with, which is,
and I think that
like
they're
that's
mostly
it.
I think they're mostly valid points. I just don't think that the shitting on Last Jedi is.
I'm not shitting on Last Jedi. I'm offering legit. I'm offering legit criticism. Like, there's no character development. The characters were in the exact same place as they were in the beginning.
You think
as
Poe
they
had
were.
big character development here?
None.
Rose was not thrown away.
Wait, hold on.
Finn was not shit on in this movie?
In this movie?
Yes.
Poe had development, absolutely, but the problem was it was too little too late.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Too little too late. Because they can't fix what they did. They didn't give him anything in Last Jedi. He needs to fucking, at this point, be a general. At least look, Return of the Jedi is not a strong movie, right? But at least, and
I have it marked down here as my number one.
Well, hold on. Wait, listen to me.
Hell yeah,
It's
baby.
from a cinematic perspective, it ain't that strong.
No.
All right. Sentimentally, Jedi's the one I probably have memorized 100%, like line for line, from the crawl to the end. And I know Empire from a film perspective is a better movie. I like Jedi more. It's my number one Star Wars movie. It's the one I had on VHS tape, and I fucking did that shit. But even that movie, after fucking Empire Strikes Back, knew how to freaking land it. They knew how to stick the landing, knew what to do. There were some things that were bad, like Han Solo. The more I watch it, the more I'm like, yeah, he doesn't really do anything in Jedi, and he's kind of not really a pirate anymore.
He was an afterthought. He wasn't even sure if he was going to be in the film. That's why they froze him in carbonite. So
right. So then that idea is there, but this movie was like 50% of it was JJ trying to get back to okay. We need characters. We need to develop them, and they need to have a point A and a point B. But the problem was, they had some kind of their beginning and development in Last Jedi, and it never really came to fruition. And then now he's like, well, I think I can do that better. I fucking wrote for TV that's why he threw Carrie Russell a fucking bone, because it's like, oh yeah, Felicity, my homegirl.
Yeah,
like,
you got to see her eyeballs.
Right. It's all I needed. That's all I needed.
Warren, let me go to you real quick, man. Can you briefly summarize how you feel about the movie?
So I'll try to make it brief. Real brief.
He's
everyone.
He's like weird, and then he just leaves.
Yeah. Everyone at the table, at least I believe so, knows that I am a huge advocate for The Last Jedi. I think Rian Johnson was wrongly blamed for a lot of problems when I think what he did was advance the characters in a way that no one else was brave enough to do, and I think he was shit on for it. And I think he gave the characters more depth than arguably the other two movies combined. I think my feelings about the Rise of Skywalker are in a way tainted by that, because let me just say I did enjoy the movie, and I know we're going to discuss it at length, and we'll get there with how I feel. But I think my love for The Last Jedi and my feelings about Rian Johnson and how he was treated did taint this, because I did feel at times that it was blatant disrespect of what he did, even in like interviews and stuff, some things JJ said.
What did he say?
Just sort of like,
most of the cast made jabs at him.
Hell, even Boyega, right?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, look, I don't disagree with them, but I'm not sure
It's
that all of it.
It's very disrespectful.
I'm not sure that all of it is his fault. So it's like,
You're saying
I
that
think,
someone told them that you can brush this under the table of the junket?
No. I'm saying
There's a lot more hands involved. Than just Rian Johnson.
I'm saying like they made it seem like Rian Johnson wrote and directed it all by himself, and no one else touched him, and they left him unsupervised, right?
Oh, no.
Like
Kathleen Kennedy was on his back like
Kathleen
Yoda
Kennedy
the whole
is a
time.
fucking shrew and terrifying. If you've watched anything
She's
from
frightening,
the 80s,
but
she
I love
was
her.
she was the freaking bulldog. Like, because Spielberg wanted to come off like, I'm the good guy, guys. Like, we'll talk about it in a meeting. And then he'd look at Kathleen and be like, do what must be done. Yeah. And then she'd roll up in there and be like, let's talk. Power suit, you're dead. And then they don't work in Hollywood anymore, it was Kennedy, Dick Zanuck, and Spielberg. And they were the trio. They'd be making shit left and right since the 70s.
Right. Well, I don't disagree with you, but what I'm saying is I think what a lot of people don't think about when it comes to Last Jedi. I know this is not about The Last Jedi, but I think in a way it is, because
you are 100% right to compare.
So one thing about The Last Jedi is this happens less than 18 hours after The Force Awakens, which is something a Star Wars movie has never done. It's literally they are directly connected. It happens less than a day later. And I think what Rian Johnson tried to do was the opposite of what this movie did, whereas he tried to actually make it a slow burn. He gave these characters room to develop based on how they had already been developed. This was getting them to a point, not taking them from a point. You know what I mean? And I think you learn more about Poe and Rey and Kylo in The Last Jedi than anyone admits, because they were so hung up on their expectations of how those characters were supposed to grow. They're like, oh, but Poe's supposed to be Han and Rey's supposed to be Luke. And like everyone wanted all these things. That's just not true. And I think it got them to where they could have done a really great story. And if I'm being honest, I'll just say it now. I think this movie would have been better had Rian Johnson made it. I think if he would have been able to finish his vision, it would have been better. Oh. Because I think JJ...
Was he supposed to do this third movie?
I think originally they loved Ryan and they were going to give him his own trilogy, and I'm sure he would have been involved in it.
I did remember hearing something like that.
I think they're still giving him a trilogy from what I've read.
I was under the impression that was killed. But I've heard conflicting on that. But to that point, I think I don't blame JJ necessarily, even though I think he said a few things that were a little catty, because he even stood up for Rian Johnson during the backlash. A lot of people forget that, and said that he, thought people were crybabies.
Well, because he put his money into it.
Sure. But also, I think they gave him a pile of bricks and said, bro, you really got to make a house here. And I think he did what he could.
But then how does that conflicts with what you guys were saying, where they already had a plan from the beginning?
No,
if they had a plan from the beginning, how could he?
I believe they had a point A and a point Z. I don't think they necessarily had the whole alphabet.
Okay.
I think that Palpatine was not a last ditch effort. I believe that was something they had considered. I think it made too much sense. But I think some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I know that was something that you were like, why?
I think some of the other stuff, was them trying to make people happy that didn't like The Last Jedi, even though The Last Jedi, much like Empire, I think will be regarded much higher down the line. People hated Empire. I know everyone uses that argument, but it's true. People said it was trash when it came out.
Not the critics. Not people who enjoyed film.
Fans hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, critics love The Last Jedi too, buddy.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, cool.
So I want to kind of shift to some positive, right? I wanted to hear. No, it's good, man. It's a good conversation. I wanted to hear everyone's favorite standout moments. I mean, what were some of the moments?
Well, it's not okay. Hold on.
What's up?
This isn't necessarily negative.
Oh, I didn't say.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like people, you're framing criticism as negative. Criticism is 100% valid. Like you're allowed to criticize.
Oh yeah, look, hey, this is a good convo. I didn't mean it.
Badr hadn't even gotten to answer anything yet. No one cares.
I'm just a moderator, man.
No, Badr, what are your expectations?
No.
Look, man,
I'm the Kathleen Kennedy here.
We do get
Trust
spinned
me.
off on tangents. It just shows how much we care and how passionate a lot of us are about
which you can only hear
stuff.
on the Shortbox podcast.
That's true. Patreon.com/the Shortbox.
Oh, that's awesome.
I really had no expectation, man. I could not, for the life of me, remember anything from The Last Jedi. I think I've gone on record saying it was not my favorite movie. Force Awakens to me is like my number 2 favorite movie, right behind Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
For me, it was like a new beginning. That's definitely a pun.
It was very magical.
No.
It was like that.
Yes.
Like I had a lot of hope that this cast and this world was going to be like mine. Like damn, I didn't grow up watching the original trilogy. I definitely watched the first 3. Those to me had some sentimental, but this was my first. Force Awakens was my first conscious like exposure and like willingness to jump into like the fandom. And I had a lot of, I definitely had some expectations that might have, swayed my opinion of Last Jedi. But Force Awakens to me, I was like, man, there's so much potential. Just do some cool new stuff. I loved Finn. Like I automatically gravitated towards him. So going into this movie, I was hoping they would recapture just that magic. Whether, like I said, I didn't remember much from Last Jedi, so I didn't really have any expectations for them to carry that on. There was definitely some high points in this, but I think to Cesar's point, the character development was just too little, too rushed, too late.
They wanted to make another sequel. Yeah. This movie should have been 2 movies.
Absolutely.
This should have
I agree.
Now this is now wait now
like this should have been the sequel to Force Awakens and then one more.
I'm gonna say this. A lot of the character stuff in this movie, when it hits when it hits well, like to the point where I was getting goosebumps. Like I'm like, this is really good.
Right.
Like I'm sure everybody here called Ben Solo being redeemed from The Force Awakens, like from the the jump. Like I knew, like I'm like fucking okay, yeah, we're meant to think he's the bad guy, but he's hitting all the notes that Vader hit. Where like kill your mentor, blah blah blah, or kill the old man in his life that he thought failed him. Fine, whatever. the way they did it in this movie, I liked it a whole lot. And like that sort of shit is what Star Wars is about. It ain't the fucking spaceships. It ain't the fucking little ancillary shit. It's like, oh my God, this guy doesn't think he can come home again. And it takes his own dad, who was a piece of shit pirate from back in the day. Let's not forget, like, Solo did some questionable things before he decided to become chaotic good. To come back from the grave, not as a Force ghost. It could have been all in his head. That could have been psychological.
It was
right?
all in his head.
You know what I'm saying? Like
he acknowledged that
been,
it was.
He could have just been like there, but it still happened. And he was like, it's not too late. He's like, Kylo Ren's dead. My son is alive. Like that shit. Woo! I was like, man. Like,
it was great.
So
that's Star Wars.
I'll go into more detail over the high points, but I felt like the low points for this movie were almost
Water, God damn it. I just got done trying to be positive and like bring it up. Now you're going to do that. Now
I'm not going to go, I'm not going to complete shit, but I felt like the low points in this movie were just too much like Star Wars checkbox for me. Whether that was cleanup crew time or cleanup by J.J. Abrams or some other factor, it held it back for me.
What do you mean?
I mean, I think we discussed, like, to me, it was just almost too much of like the Star Wars tropes that I wasn't expecting. I was like,
it was safe. It was a little safe.
Yeah, I guess that might be the better way to put it.
For sure.
It was really safe. And like I said, like with Force Awakens, I was so excited to see where they wanted to go. Like, man, they really paved the way for possibly some really cool new stuff. Then I see this, and I don't know if it's just the weight of it being the end cap to this trilogy that they needed to wrap it up, or because of what happened with Last Jedi and that whole kind of split. It just didn't land, man. It just did not stick for me when I look at the movie holistically.
Right.
But I had a good time. I mean, I wasn't completely like, man, that was just shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate the movie. Yeah. Like, if someone asked me, like, would you recommend this film? I'd be like, yeah, watch it. Yeah. Like, watch it. Like, my wife, she was like, I don't want to watch The Last Jedi. You guys know, I fucking do not like that movie, but I told my wife Sarah, I told her, I was like, hey, you should watch The Last Jedi so that way you can watch this movie, because I don't think this trilogy I don't think it's shit. Like, you guys know, if I wanted to say this was a D or an F, I would have. I'm not saying it is. Like, it's good.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie either. Anybody that's asked me, I've said it. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'll walk away pleased in one way or another. It is a good movie for a Star Wars fan.
Sure.
For a fan of film, not great.
Yeah,
like
you need that
structurally, timing, pacing.
The pacing was like, woo! It was like remember in Spaceballs when Rick Moranis is talking to Colonel Sanders, where they're talking, and then like it's a huge chunk of exposition. He breaks the fourth wall and looks at the audience and goes, "Everybody got that? Okay, that was this movie. Whenever they were trying to course correct, it was that obvious where it was like blah 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 blah. But how can we blah blah blah? And then I almost expected one of them to be like, "Everybody got that?"
Right.
Yeah, speaking about pacing, that was one thing I noted was it felt like I was watching a Scooby-Doo adventure in Star Wars, like, because it was like, okay, run to Planet X.
One door, and then
right.
Door,
I was like,
and then the monster's chasing him. Then they're chasing the monster.
Like, I could have definitely went to the bathroom instead of holding it. Like,
there's straight up no breathing room. If you think about Force Awakens, there's probably 10 or 15 minutes of Rey's story where it was just her in the desert.
Yeah, just sitting down, eating a sandwich,
contemplating. You're breathing it all in, and that was great. Yeah. You got so much from just visuals, and then this was like, I don't think there was like quiet time except for the very beginning when Kylo's like marching to find Palp. That was like the most silence in the whole movie.
Yeah. Let's talk about our favorite standout moments. What were some of these scenes or moments for you guys that really were A+ material for you?
I wrote a couple down. I think my favorite things, and I'm sure as you guys talk, I'll think of a few more. But Kylo's just level of power in the beginning, seeing Kylo sort of just become. Because Lars asked me before, or like we talked about the movie, and I said the one thing I want Kylo to be really scary. Like, we know this is a year in the future.
He accomplished that for me.
I want him to just be like. So the movie starting off with him being like, "Oh, Palp's alive." fuck him. Like, I'm gonna go get the I'm about to go. He literally says, "I killed Snoke. I'll kill you too." Like he's terrifying in the beginning.
Yeah, and the crawl was Kylo rages on or whatever, and I was like, "Ooh, shit!"
Cuts to him just
There's an exclamation point, and I was like, "Damn, he rages!"
Wait to say, voices from the dead
on.
speak.
Yeah.
He's
That's great. All that stuff's great.
All those people. Also,
Can I piggyback on what you just said?
Sure.
Adam Driver's acting is so good in this movie because
great.
you can tell when he's Ben Solo.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Damn, I got that one.
Oh, fuck, dude, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
You can tell when he's fucking... Kylo Ren in this movie with the helmet on is terrifying. Kylo Ren with the helmet off is a man hurting, and you can see it.
Right.
In his performance, you can see he is in pain.
He's in so much pain.
So much freaking pain. And then when he finally gets redeemed and he throws that fucking lightsaber, he's like more lighthearted. He's acting like his dad.
He is.
He even has a swagger. You guys noticed, I'm sure you did, when he's running with a blaster in his hand. He's adapted. He's basically become like, I'm a Solo. I'm a Skywalker and a Solo.
I did notice that too.
All that shit was delicious. Go ahead, keep going.
No, it was good. I like seeing that Finn and Poe have a relationship with Chewie. They're sitting around playing with it. Like, why does he always do this? I like seeing that little friendship,
Little humanity there.
I like seeing Leia training Rey, her calling her master. One of these I'm not even going to talk about yet because it's too big. We'll have to get there later. I think there's a lot. There's a lot of moments that stand out. There's a lot to love about the film. So my critiques, like I said, they're based on some other things. So I think there was a lot to like about it, and I think all of those moments made me, they sucked me into the story. And there's some more we'll touch on as we go.
Lars, I'm gonna jump to you, man. What about some of your favorite moments or elements of the?
I think throughout these trilogies in general, I love the Reylo stuff. Like, I love their connections. Cool. I thought that was one of the best parts in The Last Jedi, where you get their Force connection. That's
Definitely agree.
I guess we thought was Snoke, and then I'm guessing now it was Palpatine that originally introduced them into how to do that, because Snoke was whatever we know anyway.
Right,
he was a two baby.
One of my favorite. I love the Death Star scene, the fight. I also liked. There's tons and tons of mirroring from different movies. There's practically a mirror scene from like Dagobah, where Luke walks into the tree and has to fight Vader. Yeah, he has the vision that he has to fight himself. And then the same thing where Rey walks into Palp's like
the throne room, dude.
closet, and
so cool.
And she has to face herself. But I really loved the scene outside in the rain. Adam Driver looking sexy as fuck.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Man crush.
Ray doing backflips. I really thought, they had to do what they had to do with all the Carrie Fisher footage, which I thought for what they had, they did a really good job. There are some scenes that were definitely on excerpts that I saw from the last movie, and it's like, oh, okay, so they made that to fit this. It was very smart. I thought, where Maz sort of keto, I forgot the line, but when she's like, Leia has to go do her fucking thing or whatever, when we figured out she's going to die, she lays down, and she's what interrupts Kylo and forces him to pause, and then he gets stabbed.
Yeah, she calls his name.
Yeah, it's very interesting because at that point on, I talked to Warren about it a little bit. Leia is still sitting under that shroud, and this whole time, for the rest of the movie, Kylo is now Ben. He's come to terms with it, and I thought it was really interesting when Kylo died at the end. We're getting a little far forward, but this is what makes it one of my more favorite scenes. Is that when Ben Solo dies in the end, he disappears because he has come to the light, but at the same time, Leia disappears. So. Right. That mirroring, that dichotomy makes me think that Leia was inside helping Ben fight this darkness the whole time, from that point on, and then once she had done her job, she could finally release herself.
I mean, that's primal Star Wars stuff too, man.
I think it's really great, and it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, that she was there the whole rest of the time for her son.
You have a kid, you're never stop being a parent.
The other really meaningful thing that like brought me instantly to tears was when Maz gave Chewie the reward ceremony medal.
Dude,
It's on my
hear me?
list. I couldn't say it.
Did you hear me say? I was like, "Fucking finally!" Like,
I straight up like ugly.
Me too,
like
man.
in the
Me
middle
too,
of that
brother.
thing. I don't know. That was really great, but again, it was another scene that had no breathe. Like it could not air.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh my god, and then it's like fucking. Then now the trio's hugging.
Damn, yeah,
like
you're
what?
right. They did that a lot, right? Where it's like, hey, fan service. All right, next.
So much, but those are two that really stood out to me.
Okay, fair. What about you? See, meaningful or favorite moments?
Basically, all the character stuff that I didn't like in Last Jedi, where they basically made Luke the Buddha again, which is like fucking awesome. At the end of Return of the Jedi, he has. Let's not forget, his Jedi test was not how fast can you twirl a lightsaber, how fast can you fucking lift up a rock, can you lift up a ship or whatever. A Jedi Master's job is to look at your ass and be like, you're not a Jedi until you face your dad. What the fuck? Hey, that guy's a Jedi and he can do a flip and do all that. How come I can do all that and I can't be a Jedi? He's like, that's not what it's about, dude. You got to fucking transcend, and that's how you do it. Fuck you. That's how you do it. So in this, you see he's basically back to being like, she's like, she throws a lightsaber, and he's like, bah, catches that shit. And he's just like, it's not how it happens, man. Like, even his acting was different. He was very much like the old wizard, the fucking mentor, the what he should have been. And he was like, what are you doing? You know, like, have a seat, kid. Let's talk, you know? And it was like, oh my God. Like, that was like, woo. Like, I enjoyed that a whole lot. I enjoyed, and like, yes, this is like something you didn't like, where you were like, God, they always lean on that same fucking, oh, there's nobody here to help us. And then a million ships show up at the end.
Lando, you did it.
But at the same time, this goes back to seeing Poe grow, right? Where he's like, he's given advice to be from an elder mentor saying, look, we did it because all we had was each other. So that's how we're going to win. And he basically says, all right, grabs his chest, closes his eyes, and then walks forward with that plan. And it seems like it fails. And you see it in his face, and he's just kind of like, all right, like, God, let's just do this one last time. And then all of a sudden you hear, you know, it's like, hey, we got a whole bunch of people ready to back you up.
They did the end game.
Like, right.
On your left.
Yeah, no fucking shit. It's Disney. Of course. That was 100% safe move, I get it. But at the same time, Oscar Isaac's performance was so moving. And so
He's great.
Yeah. So exactly what makes a good movie, right? Like a really good movie is those kind of moments. Anytime, again, Adam Driver's on the screen, his acting is on par. When Rey fucking throws that lightsaber, like does the old like switcheroo behind her back, and then he catches it and he's like, and they do that little sort of like
Back to back.
right. Like it was like a buddy cop movie after that where you're like, fuck yes.
Yeah,
like,
I want to join in on that for 2 seconds. I really liked that their connection got stronger to the point that he could literally grab objects from her. I thought that was really
right. Like that was
something else I really
that shit
enjoyed.
threw me off a lot sometimes.
Did it really?
Because I wasn't sure, like,
so
how
it's supposed to.
I think
though.
I think I was trying to figure it out too much.
Well, they hinted at that in Last Jedi though, because when they're arguing, like it's raining where she is, and he wipes his face and there's water on his face. So that it hints at that a long time ago that they're actually able to feel, they touch hands. I mean, they're able to make contact.
Their bond is powerful enough to resurrect the motherfucking Emperor.
Right.
Their bond is powerful enough to fucking like completely break quantum fit. Like I don't know. Sometimes for me it was a little weird.
Badr.
But
I know you didn't like Last Jedi, and I think maybe it took some of the magic away from Force Awakens. I think this movie brought back a lot of that magic. So when it happened, you weren't ready to see it.
fair. That might be it.
And that shit was so awesome to see. Like, so awesome. I liked seeing the Knights of Ren. Like, as much as I talk about none of that shit matters, it was cool seeing those dudes'
The
costumes.
motherfuckers were the Knights of Ren for like 20
It
minutes.
was cool seeing them, but they're straight up got the Phasma Force Awakens street.
Yo, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
100% true.
They're on the
Some of them-
trash
that was
can,
like
more or less.
bunch of Boba Fett's.
Yeah.
I think we spoke a lot about some of my favorite standout moments. That opening scene of Kylo Ren, like just getting straight to business. Something about like
Terrifying.
and I think this goes to also Cesar's point too, like a little bit of both. When he was Kylo Ren, like just that like sense of like curiosity and like just power was resonated. Like it just resonated on screen. But then like when he was Ben, like
It's
one of
a
my
metaphor,
favorite,
dude.
One of my favorite moments was when he was, after he throws his lightsaber in the ocean and he's Ben, and he jumps and he lands on that giant fucking chain and like he does that. It was almost like a moment like, okay, fuck, this is what I got to deal with, as like
This
you
is
know,
right.
I don't know
Ben.
how to use the light side.
Yeah.
This is now how I have to do it.
I thought-
it's perfect. He's not a Sith. Like he's a fucking Jedi now, but a very weak dude who doesn't know anything
Yeah.
about the Force or how to use it the right way. Outside of what his uncle taught him
real
for
quick,
like 5 minutes.
How sick did Supreme Leader Kylo sound though?
You did sound cool.
Yo, no, hold up.
Sick.
The final order, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, that's kind of baller.
that shit's
that's
hard, dude.
That's almost as badass.
Oh, I
as
love
fucking-
Palpatine. We're gonna get there. I think Palpatine
Death
stole the
Troopers.
fucking screen every time he was on it. I think Ewan McDermott is a fucking legend. And when he said, "I have died before," boy, a chill went up my spine. It's the hardest shit I've ever heard in my
Seems
life.
unnatural to say, whatever he
he's
said.
amazing as Palp. I just wanna say that.
I want to go ahead and highlight just visually some of these settings and planets. Were I was like, wow, like this looks amazing. Like Exegol, I thought that shit was absolutely like crazy. Like it was claustrophobic. Like when he was walking underneath, like whatever that giant.
I was about to say, since
You
we're
watch
talking about
Rebels?
this,
Have you watched Rebels or
Not yet,
no?
not yet.
let me talk with you guys because I know you would know this. No offense to Badr, but you wouldn't have picked up on the musical cues. Did you guys pick up on the musical little Easter eggs? Like whenever she's in the throne room, you hear that music. Like like, but it's the exact. It's not like a Michael Giacchino doing his version of it. It's the fucking exact music from the throne room, right down to when. Oh my god. When they're doing when he's not electrocuting, when he's sucking the life force out like some creepy ass vampire, it's the same.
Save the life force shit. I got so much to talk about
It's
later.
the same music when he's electrocuting Luke. You know, it's like
There's
like
an insane amount of mirroring and scenes from other stuff, but
yeah, for sure.
music-wise,
but like but the music isn't always there. Like those notes, no pun intended, were hit. Like I enjoyed that. I always like when
John Williams killed it. I went home like just humming everything.
Well, it's not
dude.
even like John Williams. Didn't Michael Giacchino do the score for this?
I think John Williams did.
I know they both do.
Williams.
They co-opt in Force Awakens because I have that soundtrack.
Maybe so.
I know he was involved. So I'm just saying John Williams has always done that in his movies, like especially in Raiders Last Crusade, like when he's going through the catacombs and Dr. Schneider's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's the Ark of the Covenant." And she's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Pretty sure." And then you hear the music from like the Ark when it's being opened.
That's a
played.
great thing to do.
I liked all that stuff because it felt familiar, not nostalgic, just familiar, like stuff that's set up. It's I don't know.
So real quick,
sorry, go ahead.
Exegol was bad.
Exegol was dope.
I mean, I was like, yo,
What were you saying about Rebels?
Well, I was just saying
my bad. Yeah.
it mirrors the Sith Temple.
I was about to
There's,
say, yes.
on Malachor. They look very, very similar. They took so much stuff from the animated stuff to sort of help build this world,
it ain't
which
broke.
is very smart. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
cool.
But also, as far as EU goes, I loved Exegol because it was a polar opposite mirror of what Dagobah is supposed to be. Dagobah is supposed to be this planet where force sensitive people can sort of hide because of some electrical plane or something along those lines, where they can't be seen through the Force. Like that's how Yoda was hiding, is he was living on Dagobah, and I think other Jedis and have used it before. But that's sort of what Exegol was. Like it had that electric storm going on the whole time or whatever that caused like all this interference. I loved Exegol. It was dope.
when he raised the fucking ships, I was like, yo, he didn't raise like dead, Sith lords.
Where'd he find
raised
all those people too? Get them all that
the
fly
people
gear.
in the temple,
and then
No, there's like all like the fucking how many
cultists?
Not even the cultists. The
fucking
people who were
Sith-
manning the damn.
oh,
see, I thought that was just the
okay,
first order
that's-
because
so like there's another thing that's kind of like
cheap labor.
you kind of have to do this because
Oh yeah,
Star Wars. I mean, it's called Star Wars.
yeah. There's
right?
like one of the foils from Luke's X-wings was used as his fucking door, and then all of a sudden it's there again. So.
right. Like
Hey.
there's a lot like that. JJ was like, okay, fuck this shit. It's going to work because fucking Star Wars.
Planets
Like-
and scenery. If we're getting back to it though,
Oh,
Exegol was dope.
Well, the only other one I had was the fucking ocean planet from Interstellar. You know what I'm talking about. The Ocean Moon Kefber in the movie.
Oh,
I just thought
it was
I thought
another-
Interstellar. I was
It
like,
was another moon of Endor, correct?
when I looked it up
'Cause
online,
that's what
there's
there's
two, like Kefber.
Well, yeah, there's more than one moon of Endor,
Yeah.
which
That was pretty badass. That I'm with you, Warren, on that. That fight scene between them with like the raging fucking tsunami going on in the rain, I was like pretty captivated.
I was hoping we were going to see some blurg from Mandalorian, but we
I'm not
didn't.
caught up, for the record.
Well, blurger in the first episode.
I'm just saying. I'm putting that out there because I didn't even say anything
Well,
in the very beginning.
We're going to have to talk about a little something because the
Right.
reason why it was aired on Wednesday is there's just the slightest
I know what you're talking
spoiler.
about,
Yeah.
But it's nothing that it's going to ruin your day. There's a slightest spoiler from it, something that happened in this movie. But it's
Does
not-
it?
It has to do with
it was on purpose.
It has to do with they put the episode on fucking Wednesday so they could.
I
air
was
it
in
at a time.
fucking Europe. What do you
Well,
want?
I'm not saying. I'm saying it was on purpose because
They
we can
wanted
just talk
people to make
about it.
that connection.
there were so we saw two quote unquote new force abilities that Rey was able to channel was the force healing, which if you missed the episode, there was force healing, but in the new Mandalorian episode, but at the same time you saw the child try to do it before. And then the second one was the mental connection with the animals, which I thought was really dope because that's
Wait, when
something
did she have that? When
with
she-
with the snake worm
Oh,
thingy.
yeah,
Like she was able to like sort of talk it down first.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not.
And,
but that's not new.
It's not new. I'm saying it's not new because Ezra Bridger mastered that in Rebels.
Fuck, I'm about to go to the novelization of Return of the Jedi where Luke tried to do it to the Rancor but couldn't because the Rancor was abused.
Yeah, that's
what
you,
up?
though.
Shout outs to fucking Alan Dean Foster. What up?
Boys? Okay, all right. Real quick, I wanted to ask everyone's favorite character. It sounds like we'd all probably say Kylo Ren, unless we've got something different.
I like Babu Frick. He was dope.
Well, I mean, I wanted to invite, aside from Kylo Ren or anyone that you've already mentioned, what other character like really resonated with you? I thought C-3PO was
He was so good.
the scene where I should have mentioned this in the prior one, but when he has to make the decision, well, not really him, but when they tell him, hey, we're gonna have to wipe your memory. I thought that was like a dope, like little, just like enhancement to his character and story. I was like, oh damn, like he can't even speak Sith. Like he's got to have his whole memory. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, yeah.
That was cool. I mean, I think Kylo's the obvious answer for me,
Yeah.
but it also like Palp is up there. I just think I think every single word he said in that movie is fucking terrifying and so good. But I'm gonna give it to Finn, man, because Finn. He didn't really like nothing. You don't learn a whole lot more about him, but I really like seeing him confident. I like seeing him stand up to Poe. Like Poe says, "Oh, I'm not Leia," and he said, "You're damn right, you're not." He just like steps to him, and I like when Poe says, "Hey, I need you to do this with me. I need you to be my general." Finn's not like, "Oh my god, thank you." He's like,
General?
He basically is like,
Damn right. Bitch.
yeah. He basically says it like, "Well, yeah, thank you for that." But anyway, we got to get to work.
He's
Like,
got military experience.
so I like seeing Finn really
Yeah,
just
but it's
come
a
to his
it's a
own.
big arc for Finn though because
It
at
is.
the beginning he was scared shitless and he was about
He
to
was.
abandon fucking ship and
terrified of Poe, like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
timid.
but
And I was really happy that Finn got to meet other black people in space. They really fucking hammered. I was like, all right.
Let's not talk. Are we gonna talk about it? Are we gonna talk about it?
I mean, I was like,
You
yo,
called me.
Why
Talk
are they,
about it.
I was like, all right, cool. Like,
Say your exact words,
when-
Potter,
when
or
I
I'll
was
say them.
like, why does Disney like really need to emphasize that? Like, hey,
No.
there's black people on Star Wars. Like literally, like when him and does anyone remember the name of the girl he ends up meeting?
She's in that Finn something. I don't know.
All right. Well, I apologize. I'm just gonna call her the girl that he ends up meeting. They had that connection, and then when Lando and her meet, and they're like, "Hey, what about you?" Like it was just like kind of awkward.
Your exact
I
words.
can actually speak to that.
Your exact words,
hit
and
it.
I quote,
I don't
were,
remember.
"Yo, fucking Star Wars doesn't know what to do with
Oh,
black
there you go.
people."
let me speak to that. So originally,
Me too.
you can you can find information about
You don't know your
this.
parents neither.
Oh, dude. And see, I thought the same thing. I was kind of watching it like, yo, fuck this
Oh my
movie.
god! Actually, no, never mind. Anyway, sorry.
No. So you can find stuff online if you want to, where apparently
for real?
one of the subplots
like Google.
one of the subplots originally was going to be about that girl being Lando's daughter.
Oh yeah.
So it's sort of a nod at him being like, who are you? Let's
Yeah.
find out. Like you're your
Okay.
own person now. Let's find some information about you. But I did also like when they met Lando, even though it was very rushed. I like
Yeah.
they were like, we know who he is. And they were all like, "It's an honor to meet you." I thought that was really cool that they
How cool was it that they met Lando at fucking Coachella / Burning Man?
Dude, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Burning Man in space? Fuck this shit.
No, it was like a nod at the whole Star Wars franchise. It was a celebration that only happened every 42 years.
And it was like the same time as the first movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the timing
the
was
little
pretty good.
children were adorable when they were watching.
They were cute.
They were so cute. I love the little pig children.
All right. See, the big children.
What do you want me to call them?
No, I don't know. Look,
No, I'm still laughing at fucking Maury Povich. Are you my daddy, Lando?
I said Jara. Her name is Jana.
Jana, thank you,
Jana,
Jana.
yeah.
And real
Is
quick,
that a nod at Han? Isn't that Han and Leia's daughter and one of the...
Yeah, well, Jason and Jaina.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, I know that book is no longer canon.
real quick before we pass to the
Obviously.
seat, as far as Finn, Playboy Finn, all right, because he was friend zoning the shit out of Rose, man.
That's sad.
Yes.
I don't even want to get on that.
So happy about it. So
Rose
happy.
was fuck that.
Rose
Look,
is trying.
J.J. Abrams was like, I got to course correct this shit.
No, it's because you have a bunch of whiny neckbeard people that hated her and
Yeah, I felt really
legitimately
bad about it.
tortured her life.
So that sucks.
I did feel
yes,
bad
that
about
100% sucks, but not why I had a problem with the
and they
character.
knew people would be mad if she had a
Look,
big role, so they fucking
look,
cut her out. They
Finn-
poochied her
Finn
from...
would
Itchy
rather
Scratch.
hang out on a burning ship than go be safe. She was like, Finn, you got to hop on this ship, man. It's
be
going
like-
down. He's like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll give
girl,
you a call later.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you a call later.
I gotta blow some up.
She's like, what do you mean? And he's like over there with this new girl.
Right,
He's
hey,
like,
look,
he's like, no,
yeah.
we're going to be all right over
Real
here.
quick, shout out to Drew.
You know,
but
Lando's looking at him like,
that's my boy.
My man.
When Finn put his hand on Rose's shoulder in the beginning,
It's not going to work, baby.
well, Drew was like, "Damn, that's a friend zone move if I've ever seen." That shit was pretty funny. But
Yeah.
She's like, I can't. I have to stay here and work with Leia. That's what they told me.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
it was definitely obvious. Like, look, we heard you guys. She's not going to get a big role, which it does suck what happened to her.
Yeah,
As far as-
that is
That
100%
shit was-
not what I'm
bullshit.
talking
It's
about.
bullshit.
Yeah. See, favorite character outside of Kylo Ren or anyone that you've mentioned.
Dude, I can't say anything. It's Kylo. I got nothing.
Fair enough.
Just Kylo Ren. Fucking,
Ray was great, too. I don't want to short sell Ray. She was really, really good in this movie.
I liked her more in Force Awakens than I did in this movie.
I'll just talk about new
And that's a
characters.
pacing issue, not an acting issue.
Yeah.
I like Babu Frick. I thought he was cute. He was like the Porg of this movie kind of thing. Speaking of the Porgs, they look like they fucking straight up took him out of storage and like
Dude, right?
slapped him a couple times to try to puff him up. And I'm like, okay, make him talk a little bit. Beep, 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 beep. Like, okay, we got the Porgs.
They
Fucking put 'em
were
up.
looking real rough.
They're not the Christmas toy this year, man. It's that guy you just said.
I thought Dio, even though he wasn't super relevant.
Help me out.
I
Which
mean,
one
he
was
sorta
Dio
was.
again?
He
Ronnie
was
James
a-
Dio was the singer for Black Sabbath.
Ah, Jesus. He was the droid, the little green and
Oh,
white
yeah,
droid
yeah.
with the wheel.
No,
who
thank
was,
you.
Who was voiced by J.J. Abrams. Yeah, he was anxious, nervous. I liked his personality.
Me too.
I thought
hold on.
R2 got done dirty.
You said-
like literally, like
Yeah.
the budget for R2 got thrown out the window. Somebody just shook in the corner. They're like, "Hey, make R2 do something." And someone goes, boop, 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 shaking him back and forth.
Yeah, I
like
was
both
like-
scenes with R2, he's just like.
A whole time.
what the fuck?
Since The Force Awakens, I was like, what's wrong with R2-D2?
No Kenny Baker. I mean,
Like-
I think it's all
like,
automated.
What's wrong? Like, why is he not relevant anymore? Like, you could still use him.
Yeah,
Still
C-3PO
use him.
still is. They're
You know what I'm
still
saying?
doing the shit out of Anthony
boy.
Daniels.
That's what I'm saying.
Looking
So-
extra golden
It's-
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And
sad.
also, I couldn't help when you were just like, I liked him. He was like nervous and like all that stuff. And he's voiced by J.J. Abrams. And I was like, motherfucking Star Wars doesn't know how to do what they do with fucking black people. They made a Jewish droid. They fucking, they might as well put a bagel on fucking his little cone
no,
nose
thank
and
you,
just
no,
been
thank you.
like, oh, don't touch me, please, thank you.
To be fair, I think R2 had to stay behind because they had to have BB-8.
Well, they already set it up, sure.
They figured R2's
Yeah.
been in enough. And I think also if they took R2, you run the risk of losing the memories that he had to get back. I do love that C-3PO was like, if I don't make it back, you're my best friend. And that was a really touching moment. That was actually one of the first things that got me in the whole movie. I was like, that's...
That one slug dude they're making a big deal about. He didn't do shit.
He didn't do shit.
Like,
He's just
yeah.
hanging out. Yeah.
He looked like a freaking side Farscape character.
oh, true. Yeah, Jim Henson Studio.
Yeah, like I'm like, why the fuck is this guy here? Was he a puppet in fucking Labyrinth they need to throw in there?
So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, did anyone spot any Easter eggs or learn any interesting facts or stories like regarding production or behind the scenes? Lars, you got anything that you noticed? You pointed a few
ton-
Star Wars Rebel stuff.
Literally,
so far.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's a ton of Easter eggs, a lot of stuff that I just, quick stuff, like the training ball that you saw on the Falcon, like Rey was using it in her training at the beginning. There was all the Jedi that popped up during Rey's whole
Right, the
like
voices.
final scene, which was like Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka Tano. We had Obi-Wan. We had Freddie Prinze Jr.
Hayden Christensen.
As Kanan Jarrus. The last quote was Hayden Christensen as Anakin. Yoda, Ayla Secura.
Yoda times 2. Let's make sure, because I was like, damn, they really emphasizing Yoda.
Yeah, I mean Frank Oz.
Here I am too.
He's got the coolest, most notable, like obvious voice.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon
so there's
had a
all
good
that.
line.
Qui-Gon, yeah.
Oh, Qui-Gon?
You didn't hear Liam Neeson?
Qui-Gon was all there.
Oh, damn.
There's only a couple times where I was like, I tried to like be like normal, but like when I saw Wedge, I go, boo! Like I was so stoked to see Wedge and
So was
Tilly's.
I.
Like-
I feel bad every time I saw Wedge and Nia Numb. Like I'm like, Jesus Christ, how long do these guys get to fucking do this
Yeah,
shit? Like they're
yeah.
like,
I mean,
they're like,
I don't
fuck,
know what
still another goddamn war? Don't I get a break? Fuck, man, I'm still deployed.
He was hype, man. He said, "Let's fly, Lando."
Yeah.
That was dope.
So the other big one that you could pull stuff out similar to that Rogue One fighter scene is all the ships that were hidden in it. You know, obviously we had the Falcon, but then the Ghost, which it could just be a similar freighter, but I'm pretty sure it was the fucking Ghost from Rebels.
Yeah,
was
who's
there.
piloting it though?
I mean, Hera could still be around. Hera was a general in Rogue One still, so she could be around. I don't think so. The Force people talking to Rey makes me think Ahsoka's dead. So that really bums me out.
Yeah.
But also we didn't hear Ezra. We didn't hear like all these other Jedi we know about. So Ezra's possibly, this is so far. Anyway.
No, that's why you're here, man.
But ships. So we saw the Ghost. I saw the Shadowcaster, which is Ketsu Onyo's ship. Also another Rebels reference, which is interesting. I saw Fang Fighters, which are the ships of Death Watch from the Clone Wars, and Fen Rao was also in Rebels. Holder of the Night, the Darksaber. They're Praetorian ships. They're really cool ships. Saw silhouettes of those. What else did I? Oh, Dash Rendar's ship.
Dash Rendar. Wow, Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, his YT 2400
I still have his
was
toy.
flying, or a similar ship. But realistically, these are all just fan service.
Sure.
They're never going to tell you who the fuck was flying them or whatever makes
Right.
sense. But to speak to Hera's possibility of being around, like she was still alive in Return of the Jedi. There is a scene from that Forces of Destiny cartoon that they made, which all that's canon, where she lands on Endor to help resupply the rebellion, and her and Han have like a little argument about who's a better pilot, and like they're like snippy back and forth because there's all this controversy that's been online about if Hera's a better pilot than Han, which she is. But
So
anyway,
thank you, Lars, for that.
Yes.
The only trivia I've got is that Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO, is been the only actor to appear in all 9 of the movies.
that's true.
I think you already covered the Carrie Fisher. They used the footage prior to. They used footage from Force Awakens, Last Jedi, along with some editing and chopping up to get her just right for this movie. And then the only other one that I thought was pretty interesting was, in the opening crawl, they say, whatever, I think it was like voices from the dead speak, or the dead speak.
The dead speak! Exclamation point.
Thank you.
Very serial.
So,
apparently,
Fortnite had a Star Wars tie-in where they play Palpatine's transmission that is referenced in that. Because I think in the Last Jedi, you just hear his voice in the end credits. I think you just hear like his laugh, right, or something. I think it was either in the end credits or trailer.
It was a trailer for.
Thank you. All right, so it was a trailer. But as far as his first like spoken, a transmission that they make reference, it was in a Fortnite tie-in game that led up to the rise of the Skywalker.
That's fucking tragic.
Yeah. Which I'll go ahead and play at the end of this episode before. I'll play at the end of the episode, matter of fact. So if you want to hear that. And the only other interesting thing that's not so much as an Easter egg or trivia, but Kylo Ren's mask, when he ends up repairing it, I thought looked visually really badass.
It was cool.
But it reminded me of this Japanese pottery style. It's called kintsugi. It's like a very centuries old Japanese pottery style of actually repairing pottery with a gold substance. and it holds it together, kind of makes it brand new. Of course, it's got like those similar markings, and it's supposed to represent, like rebuilding and, like taking something broken and making something new. So I thought, just visually and just kind of metaphorically, I was like, oh, okay, that's actually really dope. So
like
just something interesting to share. I want to go to shift to maybe your least favorite character or moment that necessarily you felt could have been improved a little. I know we've touched on it a little bit, but I thought it'd be important to, at least share some criticism as well. Warren, it sounded like you had a few that you wanted to save until this moment. How about you lead us off?
Yeah, I don't. So, while I'm with Lars on, I do think Palp was something that they considered from the beginning. I don't think that was necessarily a retcon. I do personally.
Can I chime in on that? I'm sorry, man.
Sure.
And this is more so a question because I don't know if I buy into that. This was always the plan. Only because wasn't there another writer that was. What was his name? Colin Trevorrow?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the original writer for this? He got into some creative disagreements with...
Yeah, they did reshoots, too.
Well, I mean, he got completely kicked off the film, and that's when J.J. Abrams came on board and hired whoever this writing was. Yep. I mean, is there a possibility that they just kind of brought in Palpatine? To kind of tie things up?
Definitely. I don't know for a fact that he was originally the plan, but I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Well, that's good. That's J.J. Abrams being a good writer.
Well, so, there were theories floating around, even around Force Awakens, because I looked into it after having this thought myself, and I definitely didn't say it, in a serious way. I was like, oh, what if Snoke is just like this amalgamation of Sith energy, or Palp, in some way it's Palp, or he's related to Palp. Like, I did have that idea, and I'm sure a lot of people did.
Yeah, there's a million books in the EU that's not canon anymore where they do that sort of shit.
So I mean, it is possible that they came up with that after the fact, but the part that I do believe actually was added after the backlash against Last Jedi, I don't believe Rey had any connection to him. I think even if they intended for Palp to be involved, because I mean it's very on brand for Palp. I mean, he was obsessed with Darth Plagueis. There's a lot of things that sort of make it make sense, which is why I like it. But I don't believe that Rey had any connection to him originally, and I think that was simply them killing two birds with that, because I think the story still works without her being related to Palp at all.
Sure,
I think her being no one. And them having to sort of work together
100% agree with you.
To work against Palp would be fine.
Yeah.
So I didn't love that, just because like it did sort of, when they said it, I was almost taken aback because it just didn't feel right.
It hit hard.
It did hit
like,
hard.
You're like, ooh, what? No, what?
And I mean, I didn't really like that. I didn't like shoving Rose to the back. I thought that was just a weird thing to do. I didn't necessarily like them giving Poe this person in his life, just because like I feel like she played a very minor role, and I know it's supposed to give you this depth to him in his past, but it doesn't feel that way because you literally see her for all of 5 minutes, and so
they never kiss.
They never kiss.
I like that scene at the end though, where he like
funny.
Nodded at her. He's like, "Is this the time?" And she's like, "Nah."
It is very funny, and also I read this online, and I'm sure Lars already knows this. Apparently, some people are a little bummed about them saying that he used to run spices, because in the book, Leia directly enlists, like she like recruits him directly from the Navy. So it is, and that's canon. So some people are a little annoyed.
There's stuff that's been changed from the books, because in Bloodline, there's a couple things that I noticed that were changed. Leia is mentioned in Bloodline. Leia talks about being trained by Luke, but didn't even get as far as what we saw in that flashback video or scene or whatever.
Sure.
So they definitely changed some things.
I love it. I'm cool with it, so long as it serves the characters.
I'm cool with that too, because I also think it's pretty easy to just explain it to yourself by saying, "Oh, well, in Bloodline, she probably only said that so people wouldn't know her abilities or what." Like, I'm sure I think it's pretty easy. Oh,
no, getting closer.
Am I screaming?
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry. So I think it's pretty easy to explain that to yourself.
You weren't screaming. We just need you to get up on that mic.
Oh, sorry, man.
What else you got?
That's mostly it. I think any other complaints that I have are so minor that they're really not even complaints. I mean, the Knights, I think they looked really cool and I liked them, but they didn't really serve a purpose other than like, well, people really want to see these guys, so we better get them in here.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think you highlighted a few characters that I was like, Did you just throw them in just to throw them in? I mean, I didn't feel like they served any purpose. They looked cool, but
honestly, Lando was sort of a letdown to me, if I'm being honest. It was amazing.
Agreed.
It was amazing to see him.
His acting was way better than I thought it would be, because I've been to Celebration and seen him in public appearances, and he is usually pretty fucking out of it.
He looked and sounded great.
He acted. I mean, I don't know how long those takes took, but
I was about to say no.
They needed more. They needed more.
When JJ was directing Daisy Ridley, like he was like, "Look, you're fucking terrible. You're not emoting with your face enough. We're not going to keep going until you emote." So your comment about how many takes it took, I wouldn't put it past J.J. Abrams to be like, "Billy, do we need to get some Colt 45 up in here?
Yeah.
Did you loosen up? What do we need to do? Because guess what? You ain't making 70s money anymore, baby, and you need this check. So fucking come correct."
I forgot he played Harvey Dent.
Are you serious?
In Batman 89. I don't know why I forgot that or pushed it out of my memory, but I forgot that he fucking played Harvey Dent. But yeah.
See, what about you, man? What about moments that you or scenes that you felt could have used a little more?
I thought it was least
improvement?
favorite characters.
Least favorite character
characters.
moments that you feel like probably
Man,
could use a little more enhancement.
I can't say anything like that just because the character's only as good as how they're written, right? So I'm not looking at it as from a character sort of perspective. Like I'm looking at it from how well were the characters written, right? So if from that perspective, I understand why Palpatine had to be in the movie, but I think he was my least favorite character. I just he was my least favorite character. My favorite character was Kylo Ren, and then I think after that, I can't. I mean, and even then, like it's not like I kind of didn't have one. If that's weird to say coming from me, I really didn't have a least favorite character.
Fair enough.
I mean,
They should have done more with Hux. I'll say that. I like
Man,
I like what they did.
little shit.
Yo, real quick, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know why his. I don't know if it was his last line, but I don't know why this line bothers me so much. I think because it took me so much out of it. But when
I don't
he says,
care if you win.
No, when he says, "I'm the spy," I was like, "Well, yeah, duh." Like you guys
No shit.
fucking telegraphed
Literally
it.
when they were talking about it, the
Yes,
camera moved
yes!
to him, and
Oh,
it's
I
like,
was like,
oh yeah, Hux
okay.
is fine. He's definitely.
Good to know.
But why didn't they use like fulcrum? Like that, they've used fulcrum in like a lot of stuff. Like that was like always the spy behind the lines was the fulcrum, but they didn't use that. But I'll just go ahead off to my least favorite character, which characters, I guess. I thought Knights of Ren were really wasted, and it was sad because what do we know? They're the Knights of Ren. They're loyal to Kylo Ren, or they're loyal to the Ren. What is that? Like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, like when he is Ben Solo, they're not loyal to him anymore. Like if they were his knights, would they not be?
Yeah, you can't trust nobody nowadays, man.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on.
but why? Well,
Like,
what is their
that?
ultimate thing?
Yeah,
Are they
what
just
the-
mad that
what
like?
does it make? What does a knight make? Like if you were a knight, you were held to a code of honor, whether that's for
Yo.
good or evil. You're still a knight,
Even
So,
when your
like,
posse's named after you,
right? Like what are you gonna
trust
do?
them, yo,
Like
what?
Yeah.
fucking Mr. Steal Your Girl, like all of them? Really?
I don't want to interrupt Lars, but I do want to point out.
But we will.
No. Well,
kidding.
Vader's fist were clone troopers that worked under Anakin that followed him to the dark side. So they might should have just rolled with Kylo. So
Yeah, I don't know. I was just that had led no explanation. Like, who were they loyal to? Were they loyal to the First Order? Were they somehow loyal to Palp? You know, why would these goons know more about the inside workings of what was going on than Kylo? Why would they be? It's just so like that's like one thing that was not answered. The other least favorite character, I just thought Rose was so thrown away and friend zoned. It was a bummer.
real bummer.
That's
What about
it for
any
me.
like moments or elements that you feel that could have been improved upon?
we don't have that time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I gotta let you. That might.
I was a
Unless
joke.
you got something.
No, I don't. I hated the fucking dude from Lost too. That guy's a little fucker. He also played
the
the Hobbit.
Yeah.
That guy was a fucker. He was on the red carpet
I was
making
like-
Star Trek jokes. I'm like, bro,
Was
Star
he
Trek
really?
jokes are old.
What did
like,
he say?
No, he was just like,
Yeah,
they're
Star
like-
Trek. Whoa.
Like the,
Cool nose
the hosts
user.
I
were
want to
like,
hear this. I want to hear this.
The hosts were just saying some shit like, "Oh, what are you excited for?" Like he's like, "I'm all excited to see Kirk and Spock and blah." I'm like, "Come the fuck on!"
Bad
Just
joke.
Weird.
yeah, it was really corny, and I was like, I don't like this fucker. And his character was so insignificant.
Yeah.
Like,
Damn dude got him.
oh,
Little
another
bitch.
another thing, like another fucking Easter egg was Aftab
Bless you.
Akbar, which
Bless
is
you.
Akbar's
you.
kid, was
Right.
there.
We called him Junior, so I was like, okay. So
Yeah,
he's
that's cool.
Admiral
He was in some comics, and he looked exactly like he does in the comics.
That was cool. Yeah.
My least favorite character was surprisingly Poe Dameron, even though I really loved him in Force Awakens. Only because I think to C's point is I just didn't know where they were going with him, man. And by the time that like I cared enough about him, the movie was over with. And some of his like man, I feel like they really leaned heavy on the bromance between Finn and Poe.
So-
like that dialogue between them just wasn't.
But what?
I don't.
You
It
didn't like
wasn't
that?
lovable.
What didn't
it
you like
wasn't
about
because
it?
it just felt. It wasn't funny.
we're
It wasn't
friends
I was going to say this was my favorite film that Poe was in.
Really? I thought they just turned him into a bootleg Cassian Andor.
Oh,
Shit, man,
man. I liked him in this movie a lot.
I like him in this movie too.
I'm with Badr on it. I didn't think
so
he
here's
had a
the
great
thing.
arc.
I don't know. I just didn't buy it.
Here,
but-
look. It's so easy. It's not even funny, dude. Like if you tell a story where there's three main characters, and Star Wars does it, all you got to do. It's fucking super easy. It's been done a million times. Pay those logos, ethos. It's all there. You get one who's the fucking by the book person, one who's the fucking leads with their crotch, and the other person who's kind of like, all right, I'm a balance of both you two and kind of be the leader, right? And you can still tell original stories by those rules. Harry Potter does it. It's the same thing. Star Trek does it. It's the same thing. Kirk, Spock, Bones. Fucking Hermione, Ron, and fucking Harry. They're all the same. Fucking Han, Leia, Luke. It's the same storytelling technique. There are three parts of your human brain that all talk to each other. It's all you have to do. And the problem with fucking Last Jedi is they got too many people thrown in there, and it got muddy, and that system didn't really work that they kind of set up in Force Awakens, where like you felt that magic, where it's like, yeah, okay, Poe was kind of like being groomed to be sort of like Han Solo, but he didn't have to be. They could have made him sort of that character. They could have made him like a Bones type character, because Bones and Han Solo, like Bones from Star Trek and Han Solo, they're the same guy, just different delivery method. They're the same type of voice in the brain. They're the freaking
Is Bones the medic? Why am I-
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Dr. McCoy.
Gotcha.
Pathos, Logos, fucking Spock, Hermione, and Princess Leia.
Yeah.
They're the fucking look. Here are the rules, motherfucker. I'm the smart one in the bunch. Listen to me, please. You're doing it wrong. Like, somebody get this walking carpet out of my way. Like, it's all there. This movie, they tried to kind of make it happen again, and it was too little, too late. But I didn't have a problem with
That's fair.
with Finn and
I guess
Poe. I liked their dynamic. Like it was like the Lando, it was like the Lando Han dynamic
It
in
was.
Jedi, where he's
Yeah.
like fast ship, like where he's like, hey man, I got it from you fair and square. And he's like,
and this is special because C and I agree, which never happens. So
Oh,
just
dude.
soak this up.
no, that's why. Well, before we started,
highlight that.
I was like, I don't know what you guys are expecting of me, because I'm not going to say I hated this movie. Like there was 70-30, 70% me liking, 30 me disliking. And the disliking is more or less from the film perspective of it being like, this is not a good film. Like, but for Star Wars, it ain't bad.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna switch to like the two elements that I wish they would have improved upon, and it might all kind of relate. Just
Well, that's
to,
all the time we have, folks. Thanks for listening.
just to the pacing. There was that scene where Rey ends up blowing up the ship. She thinks that Chewbacca died. I wanted that to breathe, man, to like really kind of like weigh on her, but she ends up finding out like really soon.
They didn't have time, man.
Yeah, well, and that might just be the bigger issue. I have
It
with the
fucked her
movie.
up though. I mean, she was
For a good bit.
it fucked her up pretty bad.
But
Yeah.
not enough to like have any like resounding like permanent effect. It was like, oh, okay,
A
it's good.
musical cue would have worked well there.
yeah.
And also better acting on Daisy Ridley's part,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
this is Star Wars. You're allowed to be melodramatic.
How
for
boring
God's
is
sake,
that whole thing going to be for the rewatch?
You just need, right, like, all you need is a Luke, nah! Like,
Yeah.
he yells. It seems silly when you, like, oh,
When
wow,
you do
he's
it,
like-
yeah.
he's really hamming it up. Like, in Empire, right? It's like, search your feelings, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be melodramatic. It's fucking Flash Gordon with emotion attached
Yeah.
to it, you know? Like, her freaking frying Chewie, you know, air quotes, she destroyed him, should be like, she on her knees, like, like wrecked emotionally, like blah, blah, blah. That might be a direction error on JJ's part where he's like, all right, we got it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, I'm gonna stand up for her a bit because I honestly thought she was better in this than she was in Last Jedi, and I like
in
Last
this
Jedi.
scene. In
Yeah,
this scene,
sure.
to serve your point, it could have been like, look, we don't have much time. We got to keep this plot moving, but your performances are going to have to, be up here.
The love stories, none of them were believable to me. I mean, Poe and his, old fling, Zori, Finn and his multiple chicks.
Finn's out here, man.
Yeah,
He's out here.
He is. And that really awkward kiss scene between what would they be, cousins in a way? No,
they're not related at all.
I know. Well, in the end, she takes his name. That was my joke.
Skywalker.
That was my joke. To
Keeping
see
the incest going in Star Wars.
But that kiss scene, I was just like, ooh, what?
It felt a little weird to me.
How dare you all?
Oh, you really like that?
Beautiful.
You did?
I fucking loved it.
I didn't hate it, but
it felt
was
flat.
forced. It wasn't earned.
I didn't hate it, but it took me a minute.
Now was it as bad as Rose and Finn kiss in fucking Last Jedi? No,
that was
infinitely better.
Sad.
But I just don't think there was enough breathing room to let any of these, like, not even one love story, like, really, like, captivate me or move me.
That kissing scene needed another 30 seconds.
Yep.
Of just I'm just being serious.
Again,
it needed another 30 seconds of
yes,
just airing
be
out
melodramatic, like
and drama. But it was like,
And then
Yeah,
he
let's make
dies.
out.
And then he dies. And it's like, damn, that's another big scene back to back. And I haven't had a chance to fucking process any of this.
it could have been also saved with like just maybe one more line, like sort of like it's like
yeah.
I don't know how to be
Damn, cuz.
like really like he would look at her and he's just like I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Like, look how much. Look. Now, how about
That's
this?
good, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not trying to throw out hate without giving some sort of solution, right? Let's look at Return of the Jedi. What worked, right? Vader redeems himself at the end. He's like, Luke, help me take. Vader was like fucking murdering people, and he's fucking space Hitler. But by the time Return of the Jedi happens, you're on his side. Why? Because he's huge. Like he fucking like, I want to see my son with my own eyes. Like that's one sentence, and it fucking hits you hard. And he's like, tell your sister you were right about me. Like it's like, and then he just fucking dies, right?
Well,
like something like that for Kylo, where he's like, it was like I was, like I never knew who I was until I met you. Thank you. And then she'd be like, no, thank you. And then like you get the respect, and then he's just like, I'm sorry. And then like they both break down, they cry, and maybe passionate kiss, he dies. Done. Easy. Right out the gate. Easy fix.
And unfortunately, Warren, I got Palpatine as one of my least favorite characters in this, but only because it might go back to my expectations.
You know what's funny?
With Force.
This is the level. This is where our priorities lie. The country, president being impeached. Fuck that shit. Star Wars, baby. We need to get onto the real politics.
Hey, this
man.
is escapism at its finest, man.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with Palpatine is, and it might go back to my expectations when I watched Force Awakens, where it was like, man, they've got so much opportunity to do so much cool new stuff. It felt like a cop-out, personally, to have Palpatine back as the big baddie, because besides him, I was like, is there no other villain in fucking Star Wars?
Well,
like even General Pride. Was this his first time being introduced?
He looked really familiar. What else is he in?
To be honest, they all end up looking fucking familiar, even like the Pride ones.
I don't believe he was anything
well,
else, but
I didn't buy him neither, man.
Just reference that he was, I think.
So, I mean, that's just, my little gripe.
Well, so one thing I want to say real quick before I say that is I really dislike, well, I kind of like it in some weird way because it's weird, that Finn clearly was going to tell Rey he loved her.
Yo, what the fuck?
But
Clearly, you really think so?
Yeah, because he's
for sure they set
he
that
was
up.
like, Rey, I was going to tell
He's
you.
about to die. What else is he going to tell her?
He was trying to tell her.
Hey, you left the Millennium Falcon
I mean, I think as a friend, but you think as a like.
I think he for sure loved Rey.
Cute boyfriend.
I think
yeah.
I think
first line he says. Like,
I think he for sure loved Rey. I think they loved each other.
That was a weird, like, they just left it open.
Even The Last Jedi ends with their embrace looking so like there's a lot of love there.
Yeah, I agree.
But as far as Palpatine, the reason I am so on board with it being Palpatine is because for as long as Star Wars has existed, Palpatine always sort of was like the maestro. You know what I mean? Like he literally was involved from like day one of like it all came back to him. He was pulling the strings, as they say. And, the thing about Snoke that never made sense to me is how could someone that old who remembers Vader, who like is this person who like knows all these things, how could he be someone no one ever knew about if he's that powerful? So that's why all along, am I close enough to the mic?
No, you.
What I never understood all along is why someone like Snoke, or how, I guess I should say, how someone like Snoke could exist without us knowing who he is. Because if he remembers all of these things and he talks about Vader, who the fuck is he? Where was he? So that's why even back then I was like, is this, like, this has to be related to someone else. Like, this has to be, Snoke can't really just be this one person that we've never heard of. He has to be tied to someone else, some other.
I thought the same thing,
Yeah.
but in my mind, everything was so new and magical. Like, I was like, he could just be some sort of, they'll make something up. Like, they'll be like, there was some weird evil force anomaly manifestation of it doesn't matter so long, like I said, as long as the characters get developed and there's still magic. Like, I remember a lot of people were complaining in Force Awakens when Rey knew how to use a lightsaber and it came to her like that, and she was fighting Kylo Ren in the snow, and everybody was saying, "Mary Thu," and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's magic. Shut the fuck up. Did King Arthur know how to be a fucking king when he pulled the sword out of the stone? No, but the Force chose him to do it.
Sure.
That's how that shit works in fantasy. Give it a rest. Like,
Well, and Snoke, I feel like it's almost like if you want to just make it, you know, if you want to simplify it in your mind, to me at least, I think Snoke was Palp trying a different technique, because he tried to push Anakin and he tried to push, you know, everyone to hurt him. But with Snoke, he tortured Kylo. He's like, you're just a child in a mask. You're nothing. You're weak. I cannot be beaten. It's literally like he was like
Abusive.
Yeah, he was abusive, and he was like, please kill me. He pushed Kylo until he killed him, which is a very Palpatine thing to do, in my opinion.
I got two more questions and then we'll go on break, all right? Any particular themes or messages that you guys, I mean, I want to know, like, what did you guys get from this movie as far as, like, the message or any theme that resonates? I think we've talked about it, slightly here and there, but let's kind of try to encapsulate it in a message or two. Lars, you want to kick us off?
I think the main thing I got from it was that family isn't blood. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, family are the people you surround yourself with, and that can be all that matters in the end. Got that through a lot of messages, but there was that. The other theme that I thought was really cool, I guess you could call it a theme, was the whole reason Palp was able to turn Anakin to the dark side in the prequels was that he was seeing these visions of Padme dying, and Palp told him that there's, ways to stop people from dying and to bring them back or whatever. And then in The Force Awakens, we have Kylo repeating this theme that he's going to finish what his grandfather started. And then in the end, sorry, I'm getting chills thinking about it. In the end, whenever he gives his life force back to Rey, he did accomplish what Anakin wanted to start,
right,
by saving someone he loved. I thought that was pretty dope.
Very well said, man.
Yeah.
See, what about you, man? You want to chime in?
Themes. I mean, that's the one thing that, God damn it, because I was so happy and positive for like a while that we were talking. I didn't think they did anything thematically that they didn't already cover, from a film perspective, that they didn't already cover in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? So this was more or less just
kind of hammering or double down on it?
No. Again, let me reiterate. From a film perspective, thematically, you're asking about themes. Nothing new under the sun. It was pretty much the same thing, beat for beat, note for note. I was calling everything as it happened because it had already been done. Stuff that they already kind of said, I didn't need to see again. I really didn't. Now, does that necessarily make it bad? No, it doesn't. Like, if Star Wars is your bag, jump on this. Please don't wait. Watch the movie. You'll enjoy it. But thematically, I didn't see anything that they didn't already say. Like, was there a message that was like, that wasn't covered in some way, philosophically, thematically, cinematically in the originals? No, not really. That was probably a part of that, but that's a part of that 30% of the movie I didn't like, and it doesn't overshadow the 70% that I enjoyed as a fan. So
Thank you, C. What about you, Warren?
Yeah, I don't think I can say it any better than Lars. I totally agree with. I mean, his opinion on that it mirrors mine almost exactly. So
Yeah.
I can't.
And to see it like visually, like her, with the yellow lightsaber at the end, and like willingly taking the Skywalker's name. I thought it was like a nice like visual.
Yeah, I
touch
thought
to
the
that
gold
message.
saber was very interesting because in canon, the only people who have gold lightsabers are temple guards,
I
like
was
the
about to say
protectors
that.
of the Force. And she, in the end, is like which we also find out that the Sith and the Jedi are fucking Highlanders, that they encapsulate the power, which I did not necessarily like. You or all of us, but you just be like, we're all connected. You don't have to be like, you're everybody. I like the idea that we're all connected and not fucking
hold on, let me
Highlanders.
just say this. I love that. So when I was a little kid and I saw Highlander, I just assumed that the word Highlander meant immortal. So I associated everybody that was an immortal in that movie as a Highlander, and not realizing when I was like, it took me a while to realize, like, oh, because he's from the Highlands of Scotland. Fuck.
Yeah.
But I still, but that's a joke with my friends, is that I still call anybody that's an immortal. I'm like, yeah, there's a fucking Highlander. They're all a bunch of Highlanders in this movie.
Supposedly, her saber, and I guess they've talked about this in something I'm sure Lars knows again. They were saying, a lot of people I saw online were saying that it should be double-sided. Apparently, it's designed to be like her staff.
I mean, it was parts of her staff.
Yeah.
It was like the end piece of her staff, so maybe.
Yeah, and I loved the bearing of the sabers. I thought that was really beautiful. That was a special moment. Like Lars said earlier, there was a lot of special moments, man. A lot of special
Fair
moments.
enough. All right, last question, guys, and we'll go on break. All right. How does this rank in your list of Star Wars movie favorites? I mean, and was it a worthy end cap to another trilogy of Star Wars films? Lars, I think you mentioned a little bit about your list. Where does this rank there?
I just made this really fast, but Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. It's mostly because of nostalgia.
Yep.
It was the first one I saw when I was a kid in theater. I had Ewok as a teddy bear. I never had a true teddy bear. I still have my Wicket.
Oh.
I fucking
Yes.
loved that Wicket was there on
So
Endor
cool.
with, I guess, his
son?
younglings.
Right?
Yeah.
So cool, man.
And he was great. It was great. I was so
I did
stoked
like
on
that, too.
that was my fan service.
I got
where
those
I was
fucking
like,
Caravan of
yes.
Courage movies on my bookshelf.
Yeah, they're greatly bad, but they're good. But
yeah.
we get the blurg. The blurg were from those movies that are in Mandalorian. So I have Return of the Jedi for my own personal reasons. Empire Strikes Back because all in all, it is the best Star Wars movie made.
True story.
A New Hope, classic, but it doesn't Binary Sunset. That scene is what always that's what Star Wars is to me, which is a reused song and moment over and
Sure.
over again. It mirrored in the end of the film when we
Right.
saw the twin sons, and it starts out with A New Hope. That's when Star Wars starts for me. When Luke realizes that there's this bigger world and that there's bigger purpose than just riding around in a desert,
Living with
on
your
a
mom and
speeder.
dad, essentially.
Yes,
Yeah.
that the Empire is possibly bad, which he was going to go join before that and go to military whatever school. So I have A New Hope, Rogue One, which I thought is one of the best newest movies, adds a lot to canon. Force Awakens after that. Then I have Solo, and then right after that is where this movie shows up.
Damn.
Yeah, then Last Jedi, and then the prequels are. It's tough for me to put those in order, but
All right.
yeah.
See, what about you? Where does this land?
Man, honestly, I don't give a shit.
I love it.
I don't. I'll just say this. My favorite is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
It's always going to be Return of the Jedi. I think there's a lot of things thematically that happen in that movie that pretty much put a very nice bow on redemption and identity and who you are. And if honestly, here's what we're going to, since we fucking brought up Caravan of Courage, I'm going to say Return of the Jedi, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, Caravan of Courage, A New Hope, Force Awakens.
It's really tough with something like this.
Yeah, because now you're like, because there's kind of diminishing returns. So you're like, what do you do? Like,
Star Wars has always been a mood
There's
thing
9
for me.
movies, man.
Depending on how I feel is what's my favorite Star Wars movie, like legitimately.
Fair.
Yeah. So I'll just stop right there.
You gonna cop out, Warren?
No.
I'm kidding.
And I refuse to let this become a thing. I think Empire is my favorite Star Wars movie. I watched it at home with my mom as a kid. I used to sort of run it and A New Hope together as a kid, and I used to forget where one started.
Dude, yes.
I used to kind of get them mixed together because I think we had them on one VHS.
Dude, that was the struggle right there.
Yeah, so I think I got them kind of confused as a kid, but I have a lot of love for Empire. I have a lot of love for Rogue One. I have a lot of love for The Last Jedi. It's really hard for me to put them in a list. I definitely, mood, like Lars said, does dictate a lot, and I think it falls somewhere, above the prequels, but in between the rest. And I will say I do rank it lower than The Last Jedi, but I still think it ended up being a really cool film. And
this is the mountain I stand upon.
Yeah,
The Last Jedi.
I mean, it's true. And anyone who wants to, I could do a whole podcast about The Last Jedi and why I think it's misunderstood. One
funny you should mention that.
No,
just read my text. There you go.
Fine.
That's the whole podcast.
But I want to, before we take the break, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. There wasn't really a good moment to bring it up. I want to see what you guys think about it.
Oh shit. Here's another 3 hours.
No, it's really not. And this is something I wanted to talk to Lars about, but I didn't get a chance. Have any of you ever read the theory about Padme's death actually being Palpatine and not just, broken heart or whatever it may be? So I won't go into the whole thing. You can find it online. It's a really interesting read. But essentially the theory is that Palpatine the entire time is sort of planning to take Padme's life, which is why he's pushing Anakin in the way that he is, and it's sort of believed by some people that he takes the rest of her life to save Anakin's life, to turn him into Vader, and that's what actually kills her, not a broken heart. So I did think that there was a bit of a nod to that in him rebuilding himself from the taking their life force and it making him whole again in the way that it did. So I don't know if that validates that theory, but I do think that it makes it very interesting, and that's something I recommend anyone who's listening to this look up and read. It's a very interesting read. It kind of ties in nicely to the story.
All right. And let me see. For mine, I will go ahead and say Return of the Jedi all day, and particularly because
Jabba the Hutt. You really relate to that fucking grimy ass.
No, man, it was something about that scene when Luke ends up talking to his father right before they have their final bout. I don't know, something about that just I'll never forget watching that. And
that
I think
shit is real. Yeah, at my house, you came over.
I was like, man, this is really fucking poetic. To try to warn one another before the inevitable. So Return of the Jedi, just for how poetic to me it was. Force Awakens I got as number 2. I got Phantom Menace as number 3, but only because of sentimental value. That reminds me of me and my brothers all day. Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, we wanted to be them so fucking bad.
I have love for those movies. I want to say I don't hate those movies at all.
Some of the best music is in Phantom Menace.
Some of the best. It led to some of the best stuff, meaning the cartoons that couldn't exist without.
Not only the cartoons, but that also spawned the video game that we played for hours every single day, and that was a big bonding moment. So for me, I'm getting kind of teary-eyed thinking about some of that. But this would probably be somewhere in that lower tier. I think Warren or one of you guys mentioned it. Episodes 2 and 3 are definitely bottom tier. I think Last Jedi is above those, and this would be right above Last Jedi for sure for me. I will go on record to say I think Mandalorian has given me a sense of a breath of fresh air, just like Force Awakens did. To me, this is some of my favorite Star Wars anything right now. To me, it's just been fun. I've been following it along every week. I love the episodic, weekly episodic.
It's been great.
It gives me something to look forward to on Friday. It just, to me, is man, no pressure to like it, no pressure to know anything about it. I'm just having a good time watching it. So that's where I'm going to leave it at. We will go on break. And I want to go ahead and invite any of our listeners that has something that they want to share, their opinion, their gripe, some of their favorite moments, etc., that they want shared on the podcast. We'll go ahead and read that if it's a short email or a short voicemail. You can email us at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com, or you can leave a short voicemail at 4095. We'd love to hear what you thought about Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. With that being said, we're going to go on music break. I'll play that full short box jingle by Corey Torgerson and Matt Vigo. We'll come back. We got 2 emails to read, and we'll do a champion season. All right? Stay tuned.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but inside is so delightful. Oh, oh, oh.
Yo, I want to say Merry Christmas to the Shortbox crew, and figured what better way to express myself than through the 1s and 2s. They work so hard the whole year through, an episode they don't miss. So here's a glance at the crew's Christmas list. Badr is the leader, he gets nothing but grief. Get us a classic vinyl or Tupac's front teeth. Ashley, the Hoy girl, the cover the planet enjoy girl. Just get her some pogs, girl, you'll go her dogs, and she'll be quite pleased. Edmund is a dancer, but he don't quite dance. However, I bet he'd love a gift card to his favorite restaurants. Now Cesar is the tough one, that old grouch is hard to please. His heart would go through sizes if Star Wars stopped trying to be a psychological tour de force, world building just for the sake of it, and jerking off the nostalgia seekers. Instead, creating new, unrelated content based on the fun Kurosawa Samurai and spaghetti western genres that Lucas ripped off in the original trilogy. Yo, Drew, now he's the master of disaster, that's no doubt. This guy would love Redacted. Shortbox Nation, be sure to show these cats the reason. Why support them on Patreon with your cash this season. And to the rest of you who need a nudge to give it a go, just pick the lower tier and let that money flow. Let it flow, let it flow. This is Chowboy Corey Torgerson, a.k.a. Christmas Cracker.
And Matt Vigo, a.k.a. Deathstroke. Shout-outs to Walt. Pay the dude his propers.
Just wishing you guys and the rest of our Shortbox brethren a Merry Christmas. Peace.
Palpatine fucks.
Yo, I'm just glad my man's getting it in.
Nah, probably not.
Do it.
I'm just glad Palpatine fucks.
Do what must be done.
But not so hard with
Finn?
Not the teeth, not the teeth.
Finn's trying to reach Palpatine numbers, apparently.
Fuck.
Sorry.
He's the ultimate pimp, right?
Yeah.
Look,
Wait, which one? Finn or Palpatine?
No, Palpatine.
Oh, yeah. Shit, he's growing fucking chicks in his lap.
You know,
Oh my God.
So you know when he was like sucking the life force out of them, and his like eyes come back and they're yellow. Like he might have got like a
fingers
half
came
chub.
back.
Like he was like,
Yes, it's working. A dyad.
Yeah,
Space
That's a great point to go ahead and jump into our emails. Thank you, Steve, for that. All right, Shortboxers. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Shortbox jingle. Once again, thanks to Corey and Matt. We got 2 emails to read today, and then we'll, of course, jump into our champion season. This first one comes from a good friend of the show, Blake Simone. Simon.
subject is.
He knows what I mean.
Jesus Christ, Badr, you were doing so well.
No, I should have said the last name, damn it. Sorry, Blake.
Hey guys, quick champion. Haven't heard too many people talk about it, but Batman Universe by Bendis has been really good read. It's just good down-to-earth Batman story. Issue 6 is the last issue and is out this week, so it won't be hard to get into. However, in my last email, I meant to say I was going to dog on C for how he says my name. He says it like I'm a white guy who has never eaten food that has spices in it. But in reality, I just
He's so hung up on like, yeah, that's just funny.
Hold on. Let me start again.
Please. Sorry.
Blake, hold on. He says it like I'm a white guy who has never eaten food that has spices in it. But in reality, I just want to know when he and I can talk 2000 AD and Judge Dredd. Anytime, dude. Anytime, Balake Simone.
Thank you, Blake. Yo, and I want to shout out Blake because he sent me a really cool care package,
dude.
And, it had Rocketeer in it, right?
Okay, so Blake, let's talk about that
Yeah, there you
since
go.
you're listening. Thank you for doing the Lord's work and sending Badr some Dave Stevens because
It's beautiful.
He needs more of that in his life. And Badr was like, dude, his exact words were, "Yo, I think you and Blake would get along." Old guy shit. And I was like,
Hashtag old guy shit.
God damn it, man. He has a Cubs hat on in his little picture, does he?
Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah, he's from he's up in Chicago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
he's a good dude.
Yo, what up, Javi Lopez?
Yeah,
Represent.
shout out to Blake. And I want to say real quick, as far as like his first part about Batman Universe by Bendis, this Wednesday has been insane as far as like Batman comic books either mainly concluding. You got the end of Scott Snyder's Batman.
Is it the end?
Yeah, issue 3 came out.
sure?
Yeah. So this was
Okay.
supposed to be like his final statement piece to his Batman story. So Batman Final Night issue 3 came out this previous Wednesday. Tom King's last issue for his Batman run.
Jesus, that guy's
came
been
out.
doing it forever.
Yeah, I think this was issue 75, so a good bit. And then, damn, there's one more Batman story that ended. Who else was doing Batman?
It's got to be Kurt Busiek, right?
Last night. If it comes to me,
Creature of the Night. It's
No,
not
there's
Kurt Busiek.
something else.
God damn it! I want that shit to end so I can buy it.
I'll go ahead and memorize. I'll probably remember it later. But thank you so much for that email, Blake. We got one more from Matt Vigo, and I think it's appropriate, because one is addressed to you, and because we were talking about Dave Chappelle and stand-up. So this one is kind of
man, you're
right
setting me
there.
up hard. I know you are. This is a fucking.
No, I
setup.
didn't. I didn't write it.
Okay, jokes is the subject. Hello, Shortbox. Within the last year or so, I've read a litany. Ooh, good word. A litany of articles concerning jokes not being funny and actually being offensive. I know that there is a time and place for everything, and to some extent, I get the point. My questions was this is how he wrote it, was sparked by the recent Black Widow trailer and all the hate Endgame got for Dude Thor. What is humor if not something that people relate to because it's a truth that makes us all a little uncomfortable but a little less alone? So my real question is to Cesar, resident comedian of the show. What is a joke? And I guess more pointedly, when does it go too far? Make mine Shortbox. Jesus Christ. Come on. Come on, Matt. You can't just lay that on me and say, all right, in one sentence, do that. That is a question that leads to more questions, man, to quote Dave Chappelle. And it's ridiculously subjective. But in my opinion, I'm in the military, and one of the reasons I joined was because I'm a comedian and to defend free speech. So I would definitely die for anybody's right to say whatever the fuck they want. And not just me, anyone. And that's something weird to say, but it's a decision I had to come to, and it's why I fucking put on the uniform. So maybe that answers your question as far as where I stand as far as jokes are concerned, because we are talking about jokes, and I think I would recommend Ricky Gervais's special Humanity, because he pretty much tackles exactly what you just asked, as far as the difference between a subject and a joke about a subject, and they're two very different things. So that's my answer.
Fair enough. Thank you, C. And thank you so much, Matt, for that email. And, of course, your work on the jingle. What I tried to remember was the last issue for Doomsday Clock came out. So Jeff Johns and Gary
that's
Frank.
right. That's
what I was trying to remember. So the whole Watchmen story.
Is Gary Frank...
How's that being reviewed?
I was going to say, is Gary Frank still doing the art the whole way?
Fuck yeah. And it's looking... See, I heard that fucking motorcycle roar? Gary Frank, yeah, bro.
What are you talking about right now? This fucking Danny Ketch outside trying to back you up?
Yo, real quick, a Gary Frank... Ghost Rider would be pretty insane.
Anyway,
Lars, as far as how it's being reviewed, I think
I don't care. I'm gonna buy it.
I don't know if I want to buy it. I don't want to see.
Well, I think everyone's had the similar vibes about it. Anything Watchmen is going to be kind of, why are they doing this? What's the point?
Of course,
etc. So I think that's the only thing I've read as far as how good it is. I think people fell off it because it took so fucking long to get to issue 12. So I think people are
they thought Doomsday was actually going to happen before the comic.
So I haven't seen a lot of reviews just yet, and I think it's because it just came out in the middle of one of the busiest freaking weeks for nerds.
But isn't it just volume 1? Aren't they still doing
No,
it?
it's done. Issue 12 came out. They did, as far as trade paperbacks, you get it volume 1, volume 2. And I'm going to find time to read it. It'll be a long read, but probably worth it.
Yeah.
Cool.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for the emails, Blake and Matt Vigo.
Yes.
For anyone listening, if you got a question, champion, gripe, just sort of similar to what you just heard us read, and you want to go ahead and chime in and have your email or voice heard on the podcast, shoot us an email at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. And of course, leave a voicemail, a short one at that, 904-580-4095. With that being said, we're going to go into our last segment of the show, our champion season. those of you tuning in for the first time, Champion Season is our segment of the show where we go around the table and everyone gets a chance to highlight a few things within pop culture that we feel has really resonated with us. So this could be a comic book, a movie, a TV series, a book, an album, a place, an event, etc. that we feel, hey, this is really dope and more people should be checking it out. Warren, how about you do us the honors and go first? What are you going to champion today?
Well, I'm going to be a little on brand today, and the first thing I'm going to champion is The Simpsons just turned 30. As of a couple days ago.
Damn.
The first episode was aired on December 17th, 1989. So 3 days ago it turned 30, and in honor of that, they're doing a non-stop marathon from that day of every episode, the movie, any short, pretty much anything Simpsons has ever happened. And it literally started on December 17th at 8 o'clock, and it will not be over until New Year's Eve.
Damn.
24 hours a day, nonstop. That's how long it's going to take to show everything. So that's still going on.
On FX, correct?
On FXX, actually.
FXX.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's going right now. You guys should all watch it. It'll definitely still be going when you hear this. I would also like to champion, Lars and I recently started, Lars started a Stephen King book club that a few friends, my wife, we're doing.
You son of a bitch.
I had never read a lot of Stephen King stuff because I just never really had anyone to instruct me on what to read, but we've been reading The Gunslinger.
Oh, okay.
And we just started the drawing of the 3.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm loving it. It's fucking great.
It's so good.
So give me the most severe late pass of all time. But I'm loving that. And I think that's it. I think that's all I got today.
Those are good ones. Thank you, Warren. C, what about you? What do you want to champion today?
I'd like to champion Black Sad. So when I was in Spain with Sarah, we went to a comic book shop because, fucking if I'm anywhere, I'm going to try and find a comic book shop somewhere.
Yeah, come on. It's on brand.
It's true. And we went to a place called Norma Comics, and it's nice. It's like, apparently it's Spain's like artsy fartsy hipster darling comic book shop. I had no idea. I just went in. It was like, GPS comic book shop in Barcelona, and there was like a few, and this one's the closest. So we went in, and it was huge, completely like ridiculously big, and it was 2 floors, and the bottom floor was only devoted towards anything Japanese, both animated and in scripted form, right? So, man. So anyway, my champion is Black Sad. It is a comic done by 2 Spaniards who imagine Zootopia but rated R, and it's very well drawn. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it?
I love Zootopia.
Yeah, I do too. I fucking love that movie. Badr's going to show it to you. It is.
You know what would be better is if they fucked.
I'm telling. It's
Palpatine did though.
It's like a Philip Marlowe, Sam Spade type story where the main character is like this cat. He's like an anthropomorphic cat.
Oh, this looks really cool.
Dude, look at some of that artwork. It is freaking tasty as shit. It's like Fritz the Cat, kind of, but not drawn by Crumb. I don't know. You'll see it and you'll understand. It's amazing. And the guys that put it out, they won like a few Eisners for it. And I bought the compendium just because I always try and get something from the country I go to comic book wise. Just as like a whatever. And since I speak fluent Spanish, I figured this would be a good way to help basically keep me on my toes with, my native language.
That's cool.
Because if you don't use it, you do lose it. I'll understand everything, but this is the written word, and it sticks with me a little easier. So that's a fucking good book. And I also want to champion that they actually had a copy of Junji Ito's Hellstar Ramina, which good luck fucking finding that shit. I got it for like $15, but the problem is it's in Spanish. Not for me, but anyone else that wants to borrow it, they're more than welcome to. Any of the Junji Ito fans, but it was I almost pissed my pants in front. And the funny thing is that my wife has no idea. She knows I like Junji Ito. Like, I'm all about this motherfucker. Like, if you go to my house, I have a whole shelf devoted to everything he's done, hardback. If it's come out hardback, if it's not, I have it paperback. And Hellstar Ramina is the one thing that I'm just like, fuck, I can't find it anywhere for less than like $200. And that's still in Japanese. And they're like the single issues. And it's like, man, they put out a collected issue and it was in Spanish, I think in French, but it's not in English yet. So As soon as I saw it, I was like, Sarah, look at this. Sarah, look at this. Do you see this? And she's just kind of looking at me like, you dope. Like, I know you like this dude, but I don't understand why this book's so important and why it's taking up so much space in our fucking house already. You know, like, I was like, but baby, it's Hellstar Romina. Like, don't you know about? I'm fucking buying it. I don't care. I'm buying it. So that comic book shop is my champion, and also Black Side.
Word. Thank you. See, Lars, what are you going to champion today?
Two quick ones. I want to champion this Apple TV original TV series, which I'm not gonna I illegally downloaded these episodes just to let you guys know. I did not buy the subscription. I got too many damn subscriptions.
Yeah, you're my friends.
I was told
There's
that this
no
series was pretty cool, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. But it's a good friend that she usually has good taste. But it's called C. It's got Jason Momoa in it, and it's pretty much, if I could sum it up really quickly, it's like post-apocalyptic Conan. It's really cool. The premises is like it takes place hundreds of years into the future, where in the past there's some kind of biochemical warfare that happened and millions of people died, and whatever that chemical did, all the people that survived, they were blinded, and the blindness was genetic, where it was passed down through generation and generation. So humanity that was left over had to sort of go back in progress. They sort of forgot the written word, and we're at this point to where everyone's blind. There's this weird warrior culture, and sighted children are being mysteriously born. It's it's like a trope that we like the Jedi, like similar kind of thing, but they're thought to have been be witches. It's really interesting show.
Right, the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yeah. Sounds cool,
but it's really cool. Yeah. It's a great show. I had a lot of fun watching it. But I would definitely recommend checking it out, downloading, or doing whatever you have to do to watch it. My other champion is just Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars world at Disney. I went again recently, and I just have such a great time there. Disney in general is being really dope lately with all their vegan options, and have tons of stuff everywhere.
Let's go,
and
baby.
It's plainly labeled, and it's really good. I had a good time. I didn't do the fast pass line, like the single rider line and the Falcon ride. I haven't rode the new ride yet. It was already like filled up by like 7:30 in the morning. So
damn.
But the Falcon, I love all the attention to detail and the immersiveness of that.
That is
place.
A fun ass ride.
It's great.
That is a great ride. Thank you, Lars. I'll go to champion this podcast episode, and I'm sure the rest of it's really good.
This one? You
No. I'm
You're
sorry.
so fucking
I'm sorry.
full of yourself.
Yeah. I want to champion the Broken Record podcast. I believe it's hosted by Malcolm Gladwell. He's a really renowned writer. But in particular, this episode that I came across, I think it was released this week. It was between Andre 3000 of Outkast and Rick Rubin, having
Holy
about
shit.
an hour and a half conversation. And just a fantastic conversation, man. And I think I shared it on Instagram or something. I said, hey, for all my creators, artists, musician friends, like, this is definitely one that you want to listen to. Very candid, very honest, and true Rick Rubin and spacey Andre. Not even, you know what? I'll take that back.
Our vegan brother, Andre 3000.
Andre 3000 being very grounded and just like honest, man. Like some of the things they talked about was like the creative process. Of course, Rick Rubin had questions about like starting Outkast, but really more so about, hey, Andre, like, how are you doing nowadays? What are you up to nowadays?
Is it like the Key and Peele skit?
No, and that's why I said a very grounded. Yeah,
great skit.
Yeah, it is. But a very grounded Andre being honest. Like, look, I tinker nowadays. The success of my past still haunts me. The pressure haunts me nowadays. I don't. My motivation isn't really there to make new music, but I love to just tinker and just, make my own music and play, the clarinet as, and all, like he addresses all these memes that people are sharing nowadays, like, oh, Andre's playing clarinet at the airport, but he goes into detail like why he's doing it. He's like, this was just me challenging myself and wanting to do something that puts me at ease, to still be creative, but without the pressure of having to put out an album. It's a really, really beautiful interview.
Well, you know what you got to do with that pressure? You got to shake it. Shake.
Stop.
Shake.
Stop.
Like a motherfucking Polaroid.
You got to
picture.
shake it like a Polaroid picture, baby.
But I definitely recommend it. I don't know if Rick Rubin is on every episode. I believe so. This one definitely caught my attention. And it's just, it sounds good and whatnot. Very minimal ads. And there's a bunch of other really big, not just rap, but a bunch of different musicians that I think Rick Rubin interviews. This one, of course, caught my attention for Andre 3000. So
Sounds
Broken
awesome.
Record Podcast. And then a little late entry champion that I'll have. But I recently started the latest God of War video game.
Amazing.
Oh, man. So this one, of course, late pass because it was released last year. Of course, it won all those awards and had all the accolades. And I think I even joked with like Warren because Warren was telling me about the new Star Wars game. And I was like, I can't really buy it. I've got all these video games to play. And one of them was God of War. And I think it was Warren. I'm sorry, not Warren, but it was Lars that was like, damn, you still haven't even started that one yet?
Man, well,
and that was enough for me to be like, all right, well, let me go ahead and fucking finally start it. Sucked in immediately,
it is
man.
so good. And I would actually love to add one more champion to mine, which is Jedi Fallen Order. Same creative team as God of War.
Oh, whoa. Okay,
and
that's cool.
it is,
Cool.
I think Lars will agree, it's really, really great game. A lot of good lore, really great story. A buddy of mine, Nick, shout out to Nick, actually said that in his opinion it's one of the better Star Wars stories, period. He finished it recently.
That's cool. And for those that aren't on the note, what separates this God of War from some of the really good previous ones, this one more so, instead of focusing on Greek mythology, shifts
Spoilers.
to I mean, not really. I mean, it's like all over. Shifts to Norse mythology, so it focuses on that pantheon of characters and gods, etc. And it focuses on his son too. Kratos has a son in this game, Atreus. The whole story is really his, second wife dies. There you have to go bury the ashes, and it's the journey. They meet monsters and fight, different things.
It's very cool. It's funny. We actually talked about this recently, reading a lot of Stephen King. It actually, that God of War story seems, at least at times, to make a few nods to the Gunslinger, which I thought was really cool.
Damn it. That's the
because-
closest anybody has ever come to convincing me to play that game.
Well, because it's it's him and his small son, which is
Yeah.
not the Gunslinger's son, Jake, but
yeah.
but
Hey, oi.
but
He's not
they're
there yet.
climbing up
They
a
haven't gotten
mountain.
there yet.
Yeah.
They're climbing up a mountain. They're trying to do it definitely has a similar feeling of like they're trying to reach a tower.
Right.
It definitely has like I don't think it follows the same path necessarily, but I think there's nods there. It feels
Sure.
like that was on purpose.
Right.
I love the moments in between, like the missions. Like, for example, like rowing a boat, and the son is asking like Kratos to tell him stories.
Yeah,
and it's
that's great.
like you're watching Kratos step into this role of being a father, because clearly the mother was the emotional or the passionate one or the whatever it may be. So watching Kratos have to fill both roles and like learning to be a dad is really fun.
It's
It
almost
is.
like
It is.
those kind of human stories are worth telling. The Mandalorian.
I definitely got a little teared up at the end of that game. It's fantastic.
Okay,
I can't wait to
wait.
finish it. Yeah,
Thank you. So those are my two champions: Broken Record Podcast, Andre 3000, Rick Rubin, and the God of War from last year. Gentlemen, this was a really fun episode. Really insightful.
It was.
I liked it.
I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Being honest, sharing your opinions, and having a good time.
Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah, I had a good time. It felt good to air all this stuff out. I feel a lot better than I did when we started.
Aw.
Good. I
Therapeutic.
was really nervous, honestly.
I'm
not with Warren. Warren comes in like
Nice
fucking
playboy.
hugging, but Lars, you scared me, man. Like you were like, oh man, like I'm gonna. I don't know what kind of headspace you were in.
Lars
I don't
was
even know.
tense. He was tense. I'm a little tense. Just because I'm still processing it. We're actually going to see it again on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you guys want to join.
What time?
7.
I think 7.
I had a ticket for 8 in the morning tomorrow, but I canceled it.
If there's still seats around us, you guys should totally join. But we're doing that, and I'm excited to watch it again because I feel like I think it's the kind of movie that after you watch it a couple of times, I think all the things that bother you will smooth out, and I'm sure there will be some books and some other lore that comes from this movie that will, just like how people remember the prequels a lot more fondly than they actually liked them. I think this will be that, but more so because it is a better movie. So I think it'll make me feel even better to watch it again.
All right, that's good. Any closing remarks that you guys want to share, or shout outs, plugs, any of that going on before I do my little spiel? Lars, you got anything going on that you want to highlight? Any shout outs?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Lars. Words of wisdom by Lars.
Fucking weird.
Why are you sad? Come on.
Like that wasn't sad. That was like
That was Palpatine. See, anything you want to close out with?
Fucking, you caught me off guard. No, man, I'm good.
All right, Warren.
I'm jet lagged as a motherfucker.
Yeah, you need to sleep.
Yeah, not much, man. I
Follow Bar of Darkness.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say shout out to the Stephen King Book Club. It's a shame that you guys are not cool enough to join us now, but
hey, man, fucking.
I
just learned about it. Like, we just learned about it.
Yo, get on my level when you're at wind through the keyhole.
I'll get there, man. But if you like The Simpsons, follow me on Instagram. I post about my collection and my overall dangerous obsession with the show and the merchandise from the show. That's at Bard of Darkness on Instagram and Twitter. Just throw an underscore after it on Twitter. And you can watch me punish writers and ask them to send me things and weird them out.
Now, was there an episode
fun profile
regarding Bard of Darkness as far as the short box is concerned? I seem to remember there was an episode. I mean, if you really want to know more about
honestly,
Bard of
man,
Darkness,
if you just want to hear this sultry ass, smooth, fucking jazzy white boy's voice. Sorry.
No. Follow me there. Long live The Simpsons.
Damn it, what?
There'll never be another.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to hear more Warren and us go into our appreciation for The Simpsons for about an hour. It was about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Episode 259 for you new short boxers.
New Jacks.
Yeah, new short boxers. Episode 259 titled Bard of Darkness. You can hear more of Warren, and I think even our Joker review, you can hear more of Warren. Which that one actually might be a Patreon exclusive bonus episode, so this is my chance to plug in our Patreon page, patreon.com/theshortbox. We post bonus episodes, exclusive interviews. We also offer exclusive merch, and we do Patreon gifts once a quarter, man, to say thank you to everyone that decides to contribute to the show with their dollars.
This is an extra Patreon episode, yes?
No, this one's general, man.
This is general?
This one's
Cool.
general.
I got something to say.
Okay.
And I completely forgot about it. I need to talk about Errol White real quick.
Oh, man.
Shout out to
Sergeant
Errol White real quick because that is a real friend.
No, that's a, yeah.
This is a real friend, and here's why. When I showed up to drill, I had so if you look at some of the pictures for the TED X that we did, I had an eye patch because I had a fucking infection underneath the gland that lubricates your eye so bad that it was swollen shut. It was disgusting to look at, and it was in the process of being healed by the time I had to go to drill. So Errol White, friend of the show, and also in the military with me, and at one time Badr, comes up to me. Everybody else had seen my eye, and they were like, didn't really address it. They just kept talking to me like it wasn't a fucking disgusting thing on my face. And I get it. Like, please just acknowledge it. I'm cool. I know I'm gross to look at. I know I got fucking leprosy on my eye right now. Just say something about it. We'll be all right. So first thing he says to me is like, yo, what's up, man? I've been listening to the show. What the fuck happened to your eye? And I was like, thank you. Yeah. Like, that's a true friend. Like, that is a real friend. I was like, so, and I know he listens because he's like, look, I need to talk with you about that last episode you did, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, you really do give a shit. That's kind of cool. I don't know why, but that's great. So shout out to a real friend who will tell you your eye is fucked up.
Yeah, shout out Sergeant White. What was I? Oh, yeah. Join the Patreon page, man, if you want more exclusive content, merch, and all that good stuff. Like I said, patreon.com/theshortbox. And if you're a new listener and you've made it all the way to this part of the show,
seriously,
congrats. And if you aren't already subscribed to the podcast, you can find us every and anywhere that you get your podcast, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify. The list can go on and on. Just search The Short Box, hit that subscribe button. It makes your life easier when it comes to keeping up with us. We have one more episode planned for this year. It is our last Artist Spotlight episode, as voted by our patrons, of course. That's one of the benefits they get. It is a focus on the comic book god, Will Eisner,
dude.
Yeah, man. So that'll be released before the year ends. It'll be a good one. All of our Artist Spotlights, I will go on record to say those are some of my favorite episodes. We all bring our A++ games, and I'm looking forward to it. See, did you have something to say? Look like
no. I was just going to say, did we get to our recommendations, like regarding if we would recommend Rise of Skywalker to anybody?
Oh, I think, I feel like several of us addressed like, hey, if you're a Star Wars fan, I think you said it. If you're a Star Wars fan.
I'm just saying, like, final word, official. Like,
no, dude. I mean, go watch it.
Yeah,
like
I would say the same.
Definitely
I feel like
watch
movies that big, like they're kind of like a cultural phenomenon, especially with like us being so connected to the internet. Like, yo, watch it, have an opinion, and join in on the convo. And if you don't want to join in, I still think it's a worthwhile movie to watch.
Yeah.
Good to go? All right, short boxers. Thank you guys so much.
You sounded like such a dad. All right, good to go.
Everybody got their crackers.
Did everybody use
Everybody
the bathroom? Did everyone? No, I'm not stopping this chart. You fucking better go to the bathroom before we leave. I was like, Jesus, Badr.
Yeah. We leaving. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
Catch you next week.
Peace.
At last, the work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.